It's Soldier Boy time.
Soldier Boy,
Is
tell
it?
him.
I don't know what it is. It's Wednesday, and it's the last show of the week, and we are ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Collider Live. I'm me, Roxy Striar. What the hell was that? What was that?
I just remembered something.
It was like a. You hopped up in the air and just
I put
gasped?
something in the freezer
Yeah.
because I wanted it to just be cold for the start of the show, and now it's going to be frozen.
And you just Alex is here.
That's true.
Brett Sheridan is here. Hello, sir. Oh, your mic's off.
Oh, good.
That's happened
That's great.
so many
It's
times
back.
recently on the Schmodown. Like the interview, people keep leaving the microphone off. Turn it on.
The batteries, it's on. No,
now it's on.
Yeah, it's the batteries.
Well, it doesn't work when you do that. That
About
works.
dead.
Okay.
About dead battery.
It's nice to see you.
Hey.
How was yesterday for you?
Yeah, it was all right.
What'd you do?
It was beautiful. My daughter did this little living museum thing where they each were dressed as a historical hero or figure. And
What grade is she in?
she is a second grader.
Second grade.
Who
We
did she
that
pick
in,
to
like, the
dress
fifth
as?
grade.
She was Malala.
Oh, Malala.
Yeah. So it was very cute. You had to go around the room and you asked them. You said, "Tell me about yourself," and they'd come out of freeze and they'd tell this. And part of it was in German, part of it was in English. I can't even speak
Well,
English.
it's nice to have you back.
Thank you.
Reilly, how you doing?
Good. I'm fine. How
Good
are
to
you
see you.
today? Yeah, good to see you.
The hair's doing good today. It's rocking.
Yeah. I decided to, dress up. Well, I'm doing an interview.
Oh,
later,
you are.
So
You doing the one with the?
Yeah.
Can we say it?
Yeah, we can say it.
Alexander Desplat.
Yeah, Alexander Desplat, one of my favorite composers.
You have to ask him. I'm sure you're already going
Like
to.
Alexander
Wrote
Dumas,
one.
who wrote
Yeah,
Count of Monte
about that
Cristo.
is will he do it again? Will he come back? Are there talks?
Yeah, because doing the research, he was like, I don't know if I want to be a composer, film composer, and then he saw Star Wars.
Oh, that's how he
and
got
he
into
was
it?
like,
Oh, he's-
yep,
all right.
and like so his influence John Williams.
Right.
So I wonder what that Rogue One losing that gig,
Yeah,
what
well-
that did to him.
Wonder if Mandalorian or anything if he pops up over there.
He's one of the best, so we'll see.
Joshy McCoogs.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. I watched the Goat Face comedy special last night on Comedy
What's
Central.
that?
It's like Hassan Minhaj, Asif Ali, Fahim Anwar, and Aristotle. I forget his last name. They were doing YouTube videos for a long time. I'm friends with two of the guys pretty well, and they did a one-off like Comedy Central special last night. It was amazing.
Good.
It was like one of the funniest things I've seen on Comedy Central in years.
We should
Wow.
check that out.
Yeah, really good.
Speaking of really awesome things that I think we'll talk about in a little bit, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yo.
I know. I'm
Really?
so
Listen,
now that all the reactions came out, and I'm like I know I'm a Superman guy, but Spider-Man is like
I
so
was
close.
expecting that movie.
Spider-Man's how I got kicked off Mailbag.
Oh, because you
That's
just blew
right.
it. I expected it to be good.
Me too.
Yeah, I expected it to be good. It's one of the best movies of the year, hands down.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it later.
You were
Talk
so
about it later.
into it that you couldn't say hi to me.
I didn't see you.
I
I guess.
Kristian.
Why did I ask that like a question? I didn't see you. It was like Anchorman. I didn't see you.
Kristian. So I was sitting with Sam and DJ, and you walked by, and I said, "Hey, Christian." Nothing.
didn't
and then
see
I go,
it.
He probably didn't
"Christian."
recognize your voice.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's hard to pick.
They go. They literally looked at me and was like, "Stop! He's not getting it." I was like, "Christian."
Really?
Did he
Three
look at
times.
you with the
Can I-
schmodown stare?
3 times.
Can I tell you why? I'm going to tell you why.
3 times.
Stoned out of my face. So that's the first
Yeah,
one.
all right.
And so yesterday, and this is the thing. I'm online because I left here. Anytime I leave too late, I have to get there and eat a stupid hot dog because I can't eat here and I have to eat crap. So I'm online.
There's
And
the food court right next door.
I didn't have time. That's what I'm saying. I had to rush in. Normally, that's exactly what I do. I go to the chicken place and I love it there. But I go and I'm online and I'm just, I'm feeling good. And I'm on the line and I order my food and the guy goes, "Hey man, I'm a big fan of the show."
Nice.
I go, "Thanks a lot. It's great." And then I go to give him my card and I can't do it. I give him like 5 cards and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, try that one." And I knew that one had maxed out. And I forgot. So he goes,
so bad.
"That one's not working." I go, "That's fine." I go, "Try that one." He goes, "Maybe it's my machine." I go, "No, it's definitely that card. Try that one." And he does. And then something else happened. I dropped something. I was just like, "Thanks for watching the show." And so I'm like, so now he knows. He's like, "I watched the show." I don't know what show he watches, but he watches one of them. So if he's
You don't
watching
even
this
ask
one,
when somebody says, "I like the show." You don't even say
which one? Tell
Which
me.
one do you watch?
No, I was like,
No,
said
I was
thank
thinking,
you.
I was
It
thinking
nice.
more like, "Oh, great, which one?" Not what. You don't have to yell at him.
Shake him by the head. You told me
Yeah,
which
but
one,
at
you
that
son of a
point-
bitch. You say Jedi Council and I'll shave your
Or
eyebrows.
you just asked.
Don't say that. Don't ever say that.
If you say Jedi Council, I will shave your fucking eyebrows.
That's one.
Now try this card.
I've been under quota every day, so
Me too.
I
Here's
really
the
know
thing.
how to use them.
Okay, so
They
I
don't
wanted
like the quota
I
of the
wanted to
audience.
bring it up,
Ooh, they don't
though.
like it.
They don't like the quota, but I will bring this
worked.
up. It has worked. 4 per person is an egregious amount.
a lot.
That's
It's a
so
lot.
It's a lot.
many. Like
Yeah.
it's not like you looked at us and said none. 4? None of us have hit it.
In this room alone, it's 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of fucks.
That was not
man.
that was not math.
See?
No, it's not. Whatever.
That was not good math.
How many?
I'll take
How many
this
we get?
good.
4.
No, there's 5 of
5,
us, so that's
15.
20.
20. We're close.
Oh wait, I was like 3.
It's fine. I was gonna let it go.
As long as he agreed with it, because I threw it at him and he went, "Yeah." I was like, "Fine."
You guys all said yeah, and I was
I
gonna
was
let it
not
go.
told there was math on the show.
Well, I was told there was coffee in the office, and I got to get a second one.
I
This is
washed
gonna
that
be.
coffee maker out yesterday and
Did you?
everything. Yeah.
By
no
yourself?
coffee here.
There's no coffee.
No.
You going to bed?
Huh?
I got
Am
my
I
own
going to bed?
stash, girl.
Oh, there it's.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
Wow,
of
that
girl.
Yeah, lots of stuff to talk about on this
High
show
school.
today. We're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna talk about Spider-Man. Are you allowed to talk about Aquaman yet?
I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I did tweet about it.
You did.
Yeah.
So we can look at your tweet and we
Yeah.
can talk about your tweet. Okay, we'll do that in a little bit. Lots of stuff that is. First of all, the craziest thing I think today is that we have an interview at 11 o'clock.
Yo.
I know. Lillo Brancato Jr., who, if you guys don't know the name, Bronx Tale. He was the star of Bronx Tale, Renaissance man. He was in The Sopranos. He was one of these up-and-coming actors that when you... I remember this when I was in Queens at the time. They were doing an open audition for Bronx Tale. And They were talking about, like, they're casting an unknown. And I remember going, I'm too German. I'm not going to go. And
Too German?
I'm Italian and German, but I was like, I look more on the German side. I look nothing like De Niro. I'm not going in there. I'm not going to waste my time with thousands and thousands of people are going on. And then you hear about this kid. He was in Jones Beach. There's a recruiter out there.
Literally on the like hanging out
Yeah.
with his friend.
And I know the field. He said field 4, and I was either field 4 or field 6 were the 2 fields that you go to. 6 was the shorter distance from the sand to the ocean, and 4 was longer out, but a lot of people went. He was on 4, and he gets the call. He goes, and he winds up. Long story short, he gets the job. Blows up. Just he's able to like trade punches back and forth with Chaz Palminteri and Robert De Niro, and Macuga and I were talking about. We quote that movie like all the time.
I honestly think it's the most underrated mob film of all time.
It is.
Because it's not necessarily a mobster film, but it has mob elements in it.
because of that, it's not in the conversation as often
Right.
as
Well,
some
it's a
other
family.
things are.
It's about family.
It's about
Yeah.
family
Inside
and,
of both the mobsters and just regular working class people.
and
Yeah.
it takes place in that transition of the Bronx, right? You
Yeah.
know, and a very like not so documented time in the world. Do you know what I mean? And the way it's shot and the way the story is told, it's such a simple story over such a just like subject period of time, right? It's just like a little bit of youth and most of his adulthood, and it's a very, very interesting story. And it's De Niro's directing debut.
Yeah.
He directs it, and all of that stuff alone could have been very intimidating, and I'm sure it was in some capacity. But the kid was beyond talented, blows up because of it, gets a lot of other roles, and starts to have a career in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the name of the documentary that he is in is based off of Bronx Tale, and it's Wasted Talent, a story behind the story, and it's because of what happened to him. Not uncommon to a lot of young actors. He got involved in drugs. Really went down the wrong path. 2005, he's with a friend in the club. They want to get some more drugs. He goes. He's like, the guy that I know his apartment. He gives me stuff all the time. I'm gonna go there. They go. They break into the guy's window.
Doesn't know that next door is a cop.
Undercover cop is living next door. He hears all the racket. Undercover cop goes downstairs to see what's going on. The guy he's with takes out a gun, shoots the cop. The cop actually shoots both Lillo and the guy.
Hits them.
Hits them both.
Wow.
They both get caught.
They run, but they
Cop dies. And then it becomes a huge, big case. Lillo's brought up, he's charged for murder and ultimately goes to jail for robbery for 8 years.
Was sentenced to 10, I believe.
Correct,
served out,
and he
yeah.
served 8, and he wound up going to the guy that he was with goes to jail for the rest of his life for murder, and he gets out. Now, cops in New York are not happy about this at all. He has been clean 11 years.
And that was as of a year ago. So now it's probably 12.
Probably 12,
Yeah.
right? So he had a documentary. The documentary was made by an ex-police officer. So it's a fascinating story because the question is for people who are going to be watching and listening and second chances, or as they even say in this, it's more than a second. He's had many second chances, another chance, as his buddy NBA star Jason Williams says.
White chocolate or the or the tall black Jason Williams?
Tall black Jason Williams.
There
yeah,
was
so.
a ton of, I mean, from his lawyer to major celebrities in this to tons of cops, like really telling the well-rounded story of it from all different angles. Just because he's involved with creating it, I thought that it gave both sides very well.
I thought so too, and then we started kind of getting into debate because Roxy had brought up a lot of the points about the law.
The legality of it, and whether you agree with certain things about the law or not, I feel like based on the law, they made the decision that is the law.
That he should have gotten the time that he got.
That
and
he
served.
should have gotten the 10 years. He should have served the 8 for good behavior, and then he should have gotten out based on what the law is.
Based on what the law is. So
Which is about possession of
right,
the weapon.
Right. And, you know, it's funny because then we went around, and what's everybody's thoughts on this, too? From the facts that we gave so far that you've heard, that he's with this guy, the guy who's with shoots the cop. He was there. He was in the position.
He did not know that his friend had a gun with him.
So
allegedly.
Is what was proven in the trial, they said.
Yeah, okay.
Allegedly.
And it was proven
in
in
the trial,
court. Okay,
in the court.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
What do you think?
It's the thing that my mom and dad stressed to me most when I was a kid was like, remember, when you're with friends and things are going bad, you are guilt by association, even if you're not doing anything wrong.
So in 2018, we call that your vibe is your tribe.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's terrible. Wow. But
Sean Maroney.
yeah, and so I always like if my friends were doing something weird. And listen, I wasn't a troublemaking kid, but I got in a lot of trouble in a sense of like mischief.
Right.
But I wasn't like shooting people,
And
and I
breaking
wasn't
the laws.
robbing. I wasn't like breaking and entering, whatever things like that.
You also weren't a heavy drug addict.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Do I think that the law should be taken into consideration when it comes to the killing of a law officer? Yes, and I think that he should have served longer.
You think he should have served longer life?
Absolutely.
Because see, people want a
So
death
you think
penalty
he
for
should
him.
have? You think he should have been found
Minimum.
guilty for murder?
A minimum 25 years.
Minimum. Okay, Reilly?
I mean, there's two conversations. You know, he was put on trial, and a jury of his peers, you know, gave him the sentence. He did it.
No, the jury finds him guilty. The judge gives him the sentence.
Judge gives him the sentence. Whatever.
Right.
The justice system was in place. This is what he got. He served. He's now making amends. He's doing this. So you could argue that you look at this documentary, you look at what he's doing, being clean 11, 12 years. He's really making a go at it. So I don't know.
He is speaking out. He is given obviously. I feel, and he's a good actor also, but I feel it from hearing the interviews. He's very sincere about the bad choices he's made. He's made apologies. He calls the officer who was tragically taken in the incident a hero, and he has apologized to the family. And
You notice they didn't use his name. I don't even know if they used it once.
There's the 60 Minutes report that I saw on it actually shed a little bit more light than I think the doc itself does. But there's tons of information in it in general that stuff that I want to know. Roxy and I, just because it's going to be such an intimate interview, and it's not one of these interviews to where it's just someone coming in promoting a movie, and it's just going to be Roxy and I for the interview, and it's just it's going to be for an hour too, guys. So it's from 11 to 12 because there's so many questions that I want to ask that weren't covered in the doc.
Yeah, I'm curious because it was an hour and something minutes. What was cut too?
Right.
What was told that they decided, we're not putting that in there because there was a ton of stuff that wasn't covered.
Yeah, and I don't think Lillo was a producer on it. I think that maybe I don't know who the hell knows.
I think
was
he
he?
was.
I don't know. We got to look. Brett, you hear this circumstance? What do you think?
I'd have to know more. I mean, like it's. Yeah, I think if it was just jury decided, then yeah,
Then you think he served his time?
Yeah, but I'd like to hear more about it and see this documentary. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, because Roxy had said to me, she goes, "What do you think?" And I said, I think that I'm leaning more towards you. I think that, and what Reilly and Brett are saying, although I understand Macuga for sure, I think
Me
that,
too, completely understand.
Yeah,
what
I
Macuga's
get
saying.
it. And my the other thing though too is I'm not a police officer. I think if I was a police officer in New York, I would want him
I was gonna
to serve
say.
life. I think because again, being on, knowing him, his family. If I was his family, I'd say the same thing. I'd say because I think that what it is that is from the one interview from the cop was that he got the short sentence because of who he was, not because of the circumstance. It was more because of, he was a celebrity in New York. You got to remember how big of a celebrity he was in New York, like in the Bronx. That you're running with De Niro and Chaz Palminteri, and you're playing young De Niro. You're directed by De Niro. You're a superstar. Those are one of the movies that AJ Ben's on the thing talking about. Like there are certain movies, Godfather, Goodfellas, Bronx Tale. Like those are the movies that for Italian Americans in the Bronx, in the Yonkers, you were like you were a superstar forever.
And completely. I'm not talking about what morally I think should have happened.
I know.
I'm just talking about based off of what went down and the law that currently stands and what was decided. He's out.
I agree with you.
And that is what it is.
I think that's why I lean towards you, and I'm looking at both the emotional side and the logical side. And
now, as a society, that doesn't mean that we have to accept him back into his passion in his industry.
Right.
That's a completely different conversation. Because some people in the doc, one person in the doc, remember mentioned that maybe he's going to go win an Oscar now.
Well, they said, the woman who was doing the report, she's like, maybe he'll go out and win an Oscar.
Which I hadn't, my mind hadn't even gone to that place. So I don't know what I think about what society should do with him now that he is out, but.
Here's maybe I'm overstepping here, but there are a lot of people in entertainment right now that are being accused of either sexual harassment or whatever the case may be. Now, some people, it's way worse than some other people, whatever the case may be. And those people may never work again.
This was mentioned in the doc, by the way, what you're talking about. Yeah.
It may never work again. And this guy was part of a homicide with a police officer. I'm just saying, if a producer or a director or a casting director decides to put this guy in a movie or TV show, that's their own prerogative, but I'll never watch it.
There will be boycotts. There will be for sure. There are also, look at someone like Don King, also shot somebody, killed somebody, I believe. Worked for a long time promoting boxing matches, still is, if I'm not mistaken.
I've had trouble watching The Bronx Tale since all of this happened because I feel like by watching that movie, I'm supporting this guy.
Does it make a difference to you, Josh?
Yes, because I have police officers in my family.
No,
and
that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, does it make a difference to you that he did not shoot and kill the cop? Like, you think he should be, and this is a genuine question, I'm not judging either way, you think he should have the same punishment as the person that did shoot and kill the cop?
I think when it comes to police officers, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you watch Mark Wahlberg films?
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg almost killed somebody when he was for racial profiling, from what I believe, the report itself. If you bring it up, Cody, where he was, I think there was like a Vietnamese man. I'm not just not.
This is when he was in his youth in Boston.
He was younger in Boston, and he almost killed a guy. So racial violence victim.
But he didn't.
He didn't kill him. No. But what I'm saying though is it was still a crime that he. So this is something that Wahlberg did do this.
Time.
He basically he assaulted 2 Asian men while trying to steal 2 cases of beer from a convenience store. This is in 1988, and then this is again. You look 25 years later, Wahlberg has definitely changed himself. No one even mentions this stuff anymore, right? But could have killed this person.
There's such a massive difference between could have killed and killed. Because somebody's alive and somebody's not.
First of all, Lillo didn't kill anybody.
No, I know. I'm just saying an officer's
Someone
dead.
is dead. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I'm saying
and
is
I'm not trying to cheapen lives by saying somebody's life because they're not a police officer is more so.
Yeah.
It's just that a police officer puts his life on the line every single day. And you can have your opinions about police officers, but the police officers that I know and the police officers that are in my family and the police officers that have become part of my family, those are upstanding people that put their lives on the line every single day. And
I know. So again, Wahlberg, they said there was another Wahlberg victim. It was not one of the Asian men, but an African American woman he attacked in 1986. Says the Commonwealth of Massachusetts shouldn't forgive and forget hate crimes, even if they were committed by a movie star. So it's just the point is that there's because of who these people are.
He wasn't a movie star at the time.
Not at the time, no. Yeah. But people don't ever bring it up. Like how
in my circle it comes up literally once a week.
You're from Massachusetts, and
so
stuff too. Yeah,
and people have a really hard time with him there, as I've said.
Right.
So it does come up all
and that
the
adds
time
into
for
it.
us.
So it's just it's
people there knew him growing up. So
and he was just a punk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he says that. He said
Yeah.
that in interviews, like, I'm not proud of who I used
He
to
was
be.
angry. He had all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
He wasn't addicted to drugs. And again, this is not an excuse. I've had people in my family and things that have been addicted to substances, and it is not pretty. It does not make you. It makes you a completely different person. There's no excuse that comes into this, but it's being able to. He wants to. There's no doubt that he wants to rehabilitate himself. I mean, that's clear. And
Lillo, you're talking about.
yes,
now.
Lillo. Does he just want to work? I mean, I'm sure he wants to work, but you would, and I'm going to ask him this when he's in here too. You would assume that he has to get out of New York.
Maybe on parole that you can't leave certain parts. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's been on parole for 11 years. He's been out of jail for a long time.
Oh, really?
He's been out of jail.
I don't think he's been in jail that long.
Oh, he went. Well, no, you're right. You're absolutely
He's been
right.
out of jail for a couple of years,
He got out of 2013. He got out of 2013, so he's been out of jail for 5 years. Yeah.
I mean, on parole, the chances of employment, that kind of situation is tough. If you're in your hometown, maybe
Right.
you get a pass from a lot of people. So
What is he doing for work?
I don't know, but you can't even. That guy can't even jaywalk, and everybody can jaywalk
Yeah.
in New York. You talk about being on your best behavior. Because one guy, the cops are looking for him to do something.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean? So that's why, and I don't know, maybe, and it transfers over. Brotherhood, of cops in general too. You come out anywhere, so it's just gonna be.
That's true.
It's a tough road, regardless.
As I think it probably should be.
Yeah.
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 It's a tough one. Honestly, my heart tells me something different than my head tells me.
I understand.
And I'm sure the jury felt similar to that.
I'm so curious to what the chat room is saying right now about it, because this is definitely a discussion. It is a
I'd
discussion.
love to know what they want to
Divisive
ask
thing.
him. I'm sure they have questions for him.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a ton of them, and he's coming in once again at 11 o'clock. So we'll move on at the moment and try to.
tough transition.
I know it's a tough transition, but we got to set it up, because this is going to be a very different show today. And it's just when I was, and I'll be honest with it. I think I said it on the air yesterday when Ken was here. I struggled with this interview when they offered him. I struggled with it because I was like, I don't know if I want to. I don't necessarily want to say glorify, because I don't think that you and I would glorify it in any moment. I think we would ask the tough questions, and we will.
Is he doing a press tour right now, Kristian?
I think that because of this doc, he wants to get the doc out. He wants to get the word out. He wants to get the remorse out. And I think that's one of the things that we'll give him a chance to do. But like I said, I'm not going to ask him like just Bronx Tale questions and Renaissance Man's questions. I'll ask him those questions in the beginning, and but then we're going to get into it, because I want to know for my own curiosity. I want the audience to know. I want you to know. I want him to know. He's obviously. I want him to hear it, and his opinion may not change, or it might change a little bit. Who knows? I just think that's a fair thing to do. And I might, like I said, I'm on the fence in a certain aspect. I might leave and say to you, you know what? I didn't buy him at all.
Yeah.
It's another very challenging thing about actors.
Yeah.
That is literally what they do for a profession.
I think to transition, we should talk about An American Tale with Fievel as a live action.
Did it
film.
go west?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that coming out?
Oh, I'd love it.
Oh, you just
I
wanna
just
do
thought
it.
of that. I kept thinking American Tale.
American Tale should. Was it somewhere out there?
Oh, God.
I remember.
All the feels. Yeah.
You ever see it?
Yeah, of course. Are you kidding?
I only
don't
saw
know.
it
You were-
once
you
because
were
I
like
couldn't
10
take
years
it.
before you were born.
I was thinking because wherever you guys over at Screen Junkies, when there was that one girl there, I think she was working as a PA.
You remember that one girl?
Yeah.
She had on the pink socks. She was
like-
really a nice woman.
She left to go on like a walkabout for a year or something. She was one of those. Her dad did all of the animation
She's
stuff
still
on
walking
that
around?
movie, and she used to always talk about it. That's where I went for a second. She goes by Sunflower.
Oh, that's her name. Sunflower. All
Cool,
right.
cool,
You remember
cool,
that?
cool,
What
cool.
was it? Everyone will get this.
I gotta tell you, that's a rotten
Now
clue.
It's really rotten.
No one
Look,
knows. No.
Nobody knows.
shirt.
All right, what time is it, Riley? What do we got?
News-wise?
No, I just want to know what time it is, because
well,
they don't put the
It
time
is
up there. There it is,
currently
10:24.
10:24.
All right, let's move in. I will go right into this thing. Spider-Man. Last night Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. Once again, thank you.
Do you wish it would have been live action?
No,
No.
not at all.
It was so good. Although, the one thing I will say that I thought about when that happened, did you think parts were a little blurry?
Yeah, it almost looked like it was supposed to be 3D, at times.
3D
Yeah,
at times,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That was
And
the
it
only
wasn't
time
3D.
that I
It's
was
not-
wondering, because they like tried to make it look. No, it wasn't 3D.
Yeah.
They tried to make it look a little live action, which
Yeah.
made it easier to like fall in love with these characters because they look like people.
Yeah, there are a
except
lot.
when they're pigs.
That opening scene when Miles, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
Is it like motion capture? No.
It kind of feels like it almost, but it looks like this was thrown right out of the comic book. I mean,
wow.
it is, and I said it in my
It
tweet
was
last
so
night.
good.
Yeah, I said it in my tweet. It is Homecoming is still like my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I know people, and Ricky from formerly VTC. Last night was like, what about Raimi? I said, I think the Raimi movies are great. 1 and 2 are great movies. I still think, and I know people like to fight me on this too, I think if you go back in time and you watch, or now, you watch Spider-Man 2, it's still a great movie, but it's a bit cheesy and it's a bit dated.
You know I love Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I'm on a completely different end of this
Do you like The
spectrum.
Amazing Spider-Man 2?
I like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a lot. Best rom-com of the year.
Right.
There's never been a Spider-Man movie I didn't like.
Okay, well,
Ever.
Homecoming, I thought was like one of the closest ones to me. I loved
love that
what they
movie.
did in Homecoming.
I felt bad for Tobey Maguire in the third one for how bad he was in that.
Right.
I was like, you are terrible.
He's so good.
But
Love him.
but this movie,
just brutal.
I don't know if there's been a more accurate
No, it was perfect.
movie
for
Spider-Man. It was
Really?
it felt like you were reading it the way, and it's funny because there's some stuff that they conquer in this movie that you think could be so confusing to audiences, but it's handled so well. And and at one point I leaned over to Roca and I said, I gotta be honest, this makes me really curious what Solo would have been like with Lord and Miller. Because and I was against after hearing all those reports.
I was
don't
thinking the
know.
same thing, but I'm still confused about who exactly did what on this film. As I was looking
Lord
it up.
and Miller were the directors and writers.
No, the Lord and Miller.
They wrote
one
it?
of them wrote it.
Okay.
The other one did not, and they produced, and they did not direct
Who
this
directed
movie.
it? I thought that they directed. Am I wrong?
Lord and Taylor.
Oh, Peter Ramsey and Rodney Rothman.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, Bob
So,
Well, they did a great
but
job.
it's so funny because everybody's walking out saying, and I
Lord
did the
and
same
Miller.
thing. Lord and Miller did a great job, and they took all the interviews. They did all the press. So I don't know.
Well, they have the names, right? So,
But then also for an animated movie producing, we don't know what kind of hand they had. They could have had a
Directing an
huge hand.
animated movie is very different than
Then
obviously
exactly.
directing a live action.
Yeah, they're not real people.
So Lord and Miller are getting a lot of the credit, and maybe they deserve it. I just don't know who did what on
I
this
see.
exactly.
Because Rodney Rothman also wrote the screenplay with Phil Lord.
Yep.
I see. I guess Phil Lord had the whole story.
And Miller
Okay.
did
So
not
this
work
is a
on it.
He's
Sony
produced
movie.
it.
This is not a Marvel movie.
Well, it's a Marvel movie, but it's not an
Sony
MCU movie.
Studios.
Yes, it's not. It's not
Still a Marvel Studios movie.
No.
No, Sony
Studios.
Studios.
Yeah, in
Marvel
association with
character.
Marvel.
Yeah.
But it is okay, and the cast is incredible, And-
Ridiculous.
And I will tell you, there you go. That's fine. So Nicolas Cage, by the way, is fantastic.
So funny.
And John Mulaney. Oh my God, John Mulaney and Nicolas Cage are my two favorites.
Did you realize that the first? Well, I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
when you first meet Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a different. Do you know?
Who the-
I'm
who the-
just.
who
I'm
the-
too nervous for spoilers, so I don't.
Who the voice was?
Yeah.
Was it somebody in MCU?
No, somebody in DCU.
Oh. All right, well, we'll talk about it afterwards. I don't want to ruin it for
Okay.
anybody.
When's
Because-
this come out? Next week? 2 weeks?
No,
Comes
a couple weeks.
Oh,
It's in
all right.
December. It's
Is it
not
that
till
December 21st
yeah,
thing?
No, yes.
Yeah.
It's the week before, so December
Mine's getting close to
14th
that.
or something.
People, December 14th. People need to see this movie.
Oh God, it's so good.
it's great.
It's so funny.
It is.
I was crying. I
Yeah.
was laughing so hard at
and
many
it's funny,
parts.
and
it's so funny.
Yes, and it's funny in a way that really works inside of the Spider-Man universe. It doesn't feel like, oh, they're like some.
No, a lot of heart.
You guys know when you hear me, like sometimes when the humor is overdone, like when it was overdone sometimes in Last Jedi, when it was
Oh, I knew that was
overdone in
coming.
Guardians of the
Volume
Galaxy 2.
I like getting into
when it
that
was
too.
overdone a little bit in Ant-Man, right? It kind of drives me nuts when it's just there to be the jokes. This fits flawlessly.
Yeah, it really did. The music was bonkers.
Oh, the music was so good. One of the
good.
best soundtracks I think since Black Panther.
Soundtrack was
so
so
good.
strong.
Alex, can we get some batteries for Reilly's mic?
Oh,
please?
your mic on? Yeah, we definitely. We'll go to break.
Both
We'll do
of
that
ours
in a
on the
second.
last.
I know.
Yeah, you done? Yeah, can we get Alex? Can you get a replaced mic for?
We're sending them. We're
Thank
sending
Oh God, I loved it.
Sitting in
I
the
can't
corner
wait
with
to see
no
this again.
batteries.
I know you're not a big animated guy.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
Okay.
I'm not a
Well,
massive animated person either.
I mean, I love the Lego movies.
This is a
I think
different.
this was better.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't it feel? It really feels like the comic book just came to life.
Yeah, and they did a lot of comic booky things,
Yeah.
like visual comic book effects that I was like, wow, that really worked. I was
Yeah.
not expecting that.
Right.
So yeah, I'm so in.
Whenever you say a comic book comes to life, I think of the late great John Schnepp because one day he was talking about comic books and how like certain superhero movies aren't very good, and I was like, if all of these people love these comic books so much, why not just rip a story from the comic books? And Schnepp lit into me, and he was just like, movies are not the same as comic books, and started like kind of going at me. And I was like, all right, well, explain it to me. And we sat down and had like an hour conversation about why comic books aren't movies. Because I was arguing the fact that The Walking Dead was sagging, and I got to be honest, The Walking Dead is making a renaissance this
coming
season.
back?
I'm 3 episodes behind.
Oh, it's been
coming back?
awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Because you were down on it recently.
Yeah, this has been the best season.
Crap, I gotta catch up.
2, 3.
No, yeah, since like end of 3, beginning of 4.
Really?
What was 3?
Yeah. 3 was when they got off the farm and they went to the jail.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Wow.
This season, it's like, we've gotten past the soapy, like, constant war, and now we have an introduction of an awesome new enemy, and there was a crazy death and this was the mid-season finale. There was a crazy death at the end of this mid-season finale.
But do you think that they can? The problem is that can it sustain, and are they going to just keep pushing you and pushing and pushing to and not pay off? You think it's going to pay off?
The way this is going right now, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
I'm so excited. Yay, now you just got me
cool.
excited. I haven't heard anybody talking about it. Talking about
Talking
it.
about it. Well, because
Talking
nobody's
about
watching
Talk
it anymore.
about it.
You and I are the only two
about
people,
it.
and then this one guy on Twitter that keeps being like, "Hey, where's the Collider Walking Dead after show?" I was like, "Dude, it was canceled 2
years ago.
ago."
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
Get
What
Roxy
is the
on
name of
board.
the horse?
Lewis. Can I come?
Snoopy
Let's
and
bring up.
Prickly Pete.
I want to bring up Roxy's Twitter because she can't talk about Aquaman, but I want to see what her reaction was.
When
I
are
didn't
you
get a
going to
chance
see it?
I think next week.
Okay.
I believe so. Is what I listened.
You gotta
Yeah.
plus one.
Probably see it in 3 years.
So you'll see it in 3 years. So let's see what she says about Aquaman. There it is. So one thing I will say for sure: Aquaman marches to the beat of its own drum. James Wan created an insane world of creatures, wonders, and wetness. If Harry
Wetness.
Potter, Splash, and Thor had a baby, it would be this: 1 part goofy. I don't know if I love that. 1 part badass. I like that. 1 part what the F. Amber Heard is a star. Okay. I dig it. I dig it. Yeah, that's good. So you can't
Talk
say
about
anything.
Splash.
Yeah,
Splash.
that's a good one.
I
That's
love
a good one.
Splash.
They were Splash. They were gonna make a. They were gonna make a remake, weren't they?
Yeah, they were gonna spin it. Please give me a
stop.
merman.
I want to
Wait,
stop.
real quick, are we
called
still going to see
Splish.
Creed 2 today?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got to figure out what time. To see when we can do it. But I'd like to. Maybe
Can
around
you
like.
come?
Yeah, it's
I
like
go?
3:30 or 4. Probably go. Maybe
Can
3.
Roxy go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
she doesn't get to go to anything.
she doesn't. Yeah, what do you want?
I go on my own.
I want to go to one fucking.
You know he's not taking me to these,
There's
right?
a movie theater. We're
Brett,
walking.
do you know that he's not
No,
taking
but I mean,
me
you
to
get
these?
to go to a
Do you
lot
want to
of
come? Do
things.
you
I
want
work my butt off to go to them.
Here's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna pick up your kids from school today, and you're gonna come watch Creed. And just
Yeah.
they're
Screw
all
'em.
let them figure it out.
There are nighttime things, right?
Brett, do you
Nah.
want to come with me? I will
I
bring
will
you.
go.
I had a
I
plus
will
one last
go.
night. I didn't bring anybody.
I couldn't have last night, but
I-
I can
Okay,
do it.
well.
Speaking of which, I got to apologize to Alex. I did something. I realized I did it again. Alex asked me yesterday because these last 2 days have been crazy.
He asked you to go to the movie.
Well, he asked me to go, and I said, I think I have a plus one. I just got to check it out. I said, but I'm pretty sure. And I was like, I don't want you to drive all the way out to Century City because he lives over here. And I was like, but I'm pretty sure I have a plus one. I did say that to him. And then I was like, I'll get back to you and let you know.
You didn't.
No, because
Why didn't he ask me?
I don't know, but because I get there and I check in. They go, here's your 2 tickets. Here's your guest. And I look and I go, well, Alex isn't here.
Oh, man.
I said no one. And then I walked
Damn.
in. It's just one of those things.
How many times? So I had a girl who canceled on me yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
How many times does somebody cancel on you before you don't invite them again? 1, 2, 3.
How many? How many times?
Well played.
Wait, I don't know how many times that is. Wait, how many times?
8th.
Well, if it's not 8th, then it could be something else. Maybe
9?
Maybe 9.
9?
Yesterday I saw a comment and I loved it so much. It was just like, no one thinks the 8-bit is funny. Only
do.
Christian. Don't do it. So I responded 8, 8, and 9. It was Christian. And Cody pops his head and goes, "It will never stop. It will never stop."
It is so good.
It's so good. I
man.
love
But
it.
also, can you answer?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think it depends on who it is.
All right.
It depends. Like if I keep asking somebody, hey, listen, you want to go, and they get canceled, and I haven't really had that happen.
Is
Oh,
the
I
is the
get
Mary
canceled
Poppins
a lot.
premiere tomorrow in Hollywood?
tomorrow in Hollywood.
Let's say
They're
I wanna
closing off the roads already.
there's cancel and then there's just can't go. This is the thing with when you get older and you have kids and your friends stop inviting you to parties and things like that. I still want to get invited. I'm
Yep.
not gonna go.
I'm with you.
But please just include me so I feel like I'm not completely left.
You're in
it,
luck.
it happens to me all the time.
I invited you to a party.
Yeah.
I invited you to a party.
When?
December 15th.
Is it a Facebook invite?
Oh, Facebook.
Don't
you
do
gotta
that.
you gotta text me.
I'm
It's not
sorry,
me. It's
what?
my
Nobody
fiance.
looks
Hello?
at Facebook invites.
I know. You're invited too, of course.
I don't do Facebook.
You
Nobody
invited me in
looks at the
person, but I
invites.
didn't get a.
Yeah.
You
gotta do an
believe
email.
me, I'm doing an email.
Yeah, you can't.
separately. I
You
told
gotta
my
tell
fiance
Julie. No
this.
one looks at Facebook.
Yeah, I told her.
Yeah.
It's
page.
It is. Yeah, it's one of those things. I'll send them out for like schmodowns, but with the
Yeah,
realization
I'll
that
send
no
an
one's
email
ever going to
out.
look at them.
Yeah, I'll send an email out.
Okay.
All right, what time is it?
Yeah. You're invited.
Game time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
let's do
it's
I was just trying to look
10:35.
and
Let's
see
do
if I
some
was
news.
invited. I don't think I was.
No, let's do some news.
Roxy, you of course are invited. I even mentioned it yesterday. I go,
person.
hey, we're gonna
Can I
have
come?
a ugly sweater party.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Let's get some news out on this Pizzazz. What the hell is happening?
What was that?
Pizzazz.
Well, speaking of Spider-Verse, they are doing the a
Sequel?
spin-off
Oh.
and a sequel.
They should.
An all-female spin-off. So focus on, I believe, Spider-Gwen, because
Yep.
she's in it.
Good.
And then automatically a sequel.
You could spin off.
Penny's in it too.
You could
I
spin
wonder.
off like 5 movies off of that movie.
Yeah,
and I
it's
would
so
watch
good.
every one of them.
Would you watch
Nick?
just a Porky one?
1,000,000,000%. And the funny thing is that I remember Spider-Ham from
Yeah.
back in the day. I remember him. But when I saw it at Comic-Con when they were bringing him in, I was like, this is gonna get old fast.
it did not.
Never
No.
gets old, and I wanted so much more. And some of the lines by Nicolas Cage, I mean, there's one line that I'll wait until after we've all seen it that is so good. Oh, I loved
God,
it.
I
I
can't
love
wait
it.
to
I
see
can't.
this.
I'm gonna see it again. Like I'm absolutely
Yeah.
gonna see it again.
Is Into the Spider-Verse better than Aquaman?
I don't think I'm allowed
You
to
can
say.
say that because you said that. I mean, you tweet. Oh,
You saw the movie?
I think based on my tweets,
You would know.
see what my Spider-Man tweeted and see what my Aquaman
she
one.
likes
is.
Spider-Man.
How many parts Splash was
Yeah.
into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
I know. What I will say, what I will say is Spider-Man will do better than I thought it would originally. I think people are going to really word
It's
of
gonna
mouth.
stick
So
around.
Word of
good.
mouth is gonna
And
crush for
especially
this
because
movie.
people just at this time, like, you want to laugh, you want to smile, you want to.
It's so good.
Is
So
this
good.
children friendly or no?
Blake for sure. Because I mean I think
What's it rated? PG-13.
PG-13. I think for 7 or 8 year olds you
Okay.
should be able to handle
There
it
was
also.
no Fs
No,
and
no,
one
no.
S.
Was there?
Yeah, one
Was there an
S.
Oh,
Okay.
S's are nothing.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah,
I
it's
S
PG.
all the
It's
time.
PG, and it's
Oh, it's PG.
Yeah, it's PG, and it's it worked for sure. There was
So maybe
these
there
kids.
wasn't a one S. I thought that
I
there
think
was.
You know
that
what?
there
I'm
was,
not
but-
so much worried about like words. My kids
Yeah.
know all the bad words. They just know not to say them.
Lydia
But it's just
might-
like
She might get scared a couple times. She gets scared of everything. So there's a couple images that I
Yeah,
think-
there are a couple
Yeah,
scary
Mahershala Ali once again amazing.
Yeah, he's so
Oh
good.
man, I can't wait for True Detective
So
season
good.
3.
Good.
he's in that too,
Good
yeah.
season for Haley Steinfeld too, by the way.
Haley Steinfeld also great in this movie.
Yeah.
Every voice, every actor was so good. It was like they were all standing, like they were all, and Jake Johnson, they were all there together, like, and Miles Morales, and it was so good about
Jake
this.
Moore is
So
awesome.
good. I love Dope. Miles Morales was a character that people were talking about for so long inside of our space for sure. When are they going to do justice to this character? People love him so much. This is going to put his name, the character of Miles Morales, in the forefront of pop culture.
Yeah, I agree. Especially
Good.
because when you think Spider-Man, you think Peter Parker. Every single person does, and I think that this will start changing that a little bit for different generations.
Yes, and they did it in a way that you're just like, oh, I get it. I like how they did this, and it's the way that they blended it in. And once again, if I told you what the story was, you'd be like, really? That's the way they're going with it? Because that could be complicated. I'm like, it could be, but it's not.
Okay.
And that's the whole thing. Because I've heard you complain about certain things that happen in other types of shows or movies like this.
Well, like timelines and multiverses
just
and
things
shit.
that happen. I thought of you and I was like, Macuga will love this movie.
Okay.
You'll love it. I'm telling you.
I mean, it gets me excited. We were watching TV last night, and the trailer for Bumblebee came on. And I usually kind of gauge with how I think like box office is going to work by Amanda's reaction to a trailer she's never seen, right? And she was like, "Oh, not another! Oh, Haley Steinfeld." That's how you know
That's what
people
you
are
said.
going to go see it.
That's what
I
you said.
literally said that, and you said my wife doesn't care about Haley Steinfeld.
You did say that too.
Well, she proved me wrong.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was an excellent point that you made by
Yes.
having her in that movie.
She's very loved
Yes.
right now. She's like the hot ticket.
Yeah, and I also think that you're going to get the old fogies like myself who are waiting to see a good Transformers movie. Couple that with the hot ticket, and I think you got a hit. So, but right now, Spider-Man it seems like, and I'll have more take on Aquaman after I see it. You can't say anything yet. It seems like right now, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the hot ticket.
It's got everyone in its web.
I mean, Sean Moretti and Liev Schreiber, by the way, as Kingpin,
Leave.
murders it.
Liev Schreiber is Kingpin
Yes,
in this?
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's
See, I love that
so
there's
good.
Kingpin in it, so
Yeah.
that obviously the licensing they can use all the comic characters in this, and not
dude,
MCU.
you have no idea. You
I was
I am
shocked with some of the
probably
you don't
people.
even need
No.
to see it. And I'll tell you what, it's one of your favorite movies.
I know. I've read every Brian Michael Bendis Spider-Man all the way through
You're
Miles
gonna
Morales.
geek out.
I'm going to lose my mind.
If this,
so
I'll
good.
make a prediction. If this movie isn't in your top 5 of the year, I will be shocked.
yeah,
It's so good.
This is when I know I'm going to love a movie. Kristian knows me very, very well
Yeah.
and my movie taste. And it was like Incredibles 2. You're like, you're going to love that.
Yeah.
I did. This one, yeah.
This
Okay, here we go.
is
I
if
can't
it's not your
imagine
top movie of the year,
anyone-
I'd be surprised.
I
But
cannot
yeah.
imagine somebody disliking this.
No.
I just really can't.
No, not even.
It's so
and,
fun.
and not even. Snyder saw it last night. I don't know what is Snyder out there. Go see. Can you double check? See
Why
if-
he didn't like it?
I believe that he did.
Checking.
He,
He's checking.
is he out there? No.
He's not out there, guys.
All right. 'Cause he
You know
really.
Snyder doesn't come in until like
God, I love
noon.
Cody.
I don't. If he doesn't even come in today, I wouldn't be surprised. But he last night he was. I want to see it. I want to see it. I was like, really? Because he's not a big comic book movie guy, and he was there, and I believe he loved it. Everybody, there was a huge buzz on that movie coming out last night. Everybody.
There was rumblings. I heard. It's not that I heard the reactions. It was just people
Is there
were
an
like,
embargo
"I've
for
seen
it?"
it," and I
Not
could-
anymore.
There was
No.
an embargo.
Otherwise
so
we-
people
otherwise
were
we'd be
like,
screwed.
"I can't see anything." I saw something on Twitter where somebody made a hint, and I just kind of guessed it was like the best movie I've seen right
Yeah.
now, and I'm like, it might be Spider-Verse, and now I'm
yeah.
pretty
Oh,
sure it
and
was.
for anybody who doesn't know, stay till the end of the movie.
Did I stay to the end?
End of the
I didn't stay to the
credits.
end.
Oh, just-
very end.
If you stay to the very end, yes.
Oh, I
Of
missed
the
it.
movie.
You gotta- you
the
gotta-
very end was amazing.
Oh, you
Of the
gotta fill. You gotta
credits.
fill me in.
I will.
I
No,
left.
just
very
the
end
movie.
of the whole thing.
Oh,
the very,
all
very
right.
end.
Well, I
There's
left.
2 things.
Oh.
There's a mid and a post.
Okay. You got to fill me in
and
because I missed
the
it.
post is hysterical.
Yeah, I had to leave.
Before the end of the movie.
Yeah, I
As,
had to
as I said, Kristian.
Yeah,
Christian.
I didn't hear it.
Is Deadpool at the
How
end
many
of it?
times? Yeah. How many times did you
Is that a
call
real
out?
question? Like, you want me to
How
answer?
many times did you legit? Don't
Three.
exaggerate.
I called it
you
3.
did 3 times.
Christian. Christian.
Yeah. Nothing.
Schmo downstairs.
I know. It was. I don't know. Yeah. I sat next to Roka.
Sam and DJ just looked at me like, yes, he doesn't know you.
Oh, man.
I had no. Yeah. I didn't know.
Oh,
And it was, like I
man.
said, it was just on another planet. Not like that. Look at that. There's so of course in the movie trivia Schmodown Facebook group. Go and join that group right now. The movie Schmovia, the Schmodown, the movie trivia Schmodown. All right, Cody, you idiot, get it out of there. The get it out of there, will you?
Yeah, that guy's saying, hey.
Yeah.
I love the snapping out of it.
Yeah,
That's my favorite.
It
All
was-
right,
So
and-
I went to the Facebook group yesterday, and of course, people had put the "Hello Darkness," "Hello My Friend" to all of it. There was there's like 5 different videos with different songs. It's really funny.
awesome.
It's very funny. It reminds me of back in when we were during the Schmoes days when the grilling memes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
grilling memes were amazing.
Grilling memes are really good. So now the new thing is now a song with the blank stare.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's wonderful.
I'm surprised you weren't seriously poisoned just from like matter flying off the 5 while grilling next to it. Because you were legitimately on the 5 grilling.
That was close.
You were pretty
That was
damn
pretty. It
close.
was a tiny grill.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
Yeah.
But then I got that big grill now.
Now
I
you
love
get
that
the big
grill.
mama.
Yeah. Do you ever see me grill at this place?
Never grilled for me.
Well, that's
Can
too
I
bad.
come?
Yeah. Do you like chicken?
Yeah.
You're not a vegetarian, right?
No.
Who's a vegetarian that I know?
I'm a massive carnivore.
I don't remember. who
Remember,
that
I'd
is.
eat a person, Christian.
That's true. So you're not.
that's right.
Yeah, okay. That's
Reilly attacked me yesterday because he's like, I can't believe I know you this song and you don't like Thanksgiving. I was like,
You
I
know
like
a
the
guy-
holiday. I hate the food.
You hate the food.
Dude,
What?
I
What
just
part of
see
it?
Turkey and gravy?
I hate turkey.
I'm with you,
Really?
Josh.
But
I'm
you're
with you.
allergic to a lot of things.
No, I'm not allergic to turkey. I don't
No,
like
but
it.
the nuts situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there's a
nuts
pecan
in, like,
pie, I'm not going to eat
everything
it.
in
See,
Thanksgiving.
I'm going to
Is
give a
there?
little bit of a pass because you're older.
Yeah.
And it's Cody eats garbage. Cody's gonna one day his whole body's gonna shut down.
Not yet. This dude's still skinny
he's
and
still
burning
skinny.
calories like nobody.
But him and Dorian, I don't know how they're not dead.
Yeah.
Like the way that they eat.
It'll happen soon.
Yeah, you eat so.
Like what? What do they?
He eats like Dom DeLuise in 1982.
Oh,
guess
that's good.
guess
Dumb
what they
film.
asked yesterday?
What?
Two-piece Tuesday yesterday.
Yeah.
Where did they go?
Oh yeah, it's like the
Popeyes.
amount of shit that these kids eat. It's unbelievable. Like
keeps their metabolism up.
I had Popeyes with Jack and Dorian last week. I was like, I'm going to treat myself on Tuesday. It's Thanksgiving week. I'm going to have. I had 2 of those chicken tenders, and I was just like, these are delicious, but I can feel my stomach like curling in on
It's
itself,
bad.
and that was that.
right. I mean, Cody, you got to be blasting out your poor wife every. The fart's got to be terrible when
I
you get
don't
home.
know if I've ever seen you not eat a salad, Macuga.
I enjoy salads.
Yeah.
I had a salad last night.
Oh
Did you?
yeah, would you
No,
put
I
on
did
top
not.
of
I
a
did not
pizza?
have a salad.
Oh okay.
Flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to you, sir.
I was up at Kind of Funny a couple weeks ago to do that live stream, and people were just coming in and out, and I go and there's 2 girls, like girlfriends of 2 of the guys, and they're both eating Flaming Hot Cheetos with chopsticks. Just nonchalantly, right? Which is the way to kind of do it because you don't get the stuff on your fingers. And then they were dipping the hot Cheetos in ranch, and I was like, "This is amazing!
Unbelievable.
Like this is in your 20s what you can do to
That
your
has
body.
to be
When you
the
hit 30s,
worst.
forget
Ever.
about it.
It's ever. Yeah. All right, Reilly. Let's move on. What do we got? Anything else new? in the
Yeah,
news?
we got a hot exclusive
What?
coming from Collider.
Oh,
Who broke?
It's,
Dorian put on 2 pounds.
Yeah, it's Frosty.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this the Kingsman thing?
Kingsman.
What do you got with Kingsman?
We got a prequel is going to begin filming very soon.
Okay.
And that it's going to be kind of a period drama. That's what Vaughn is going for. The idea is the man who would be Kingsman. That's the kind of tag they're going with. So who's going to be, I guess, I don't know. I
That's
don't know
why
how
Taron
long.
Egerton's not in this movie.
That's
Yeah.
why Taron Egerton is not in the movie. However, they have already finished the script for Kingsman 3, and they want to film it after the prequel. So looks like we're getting a prequel.
Oh, I see.
A
So
prequel
And then
before
part
the third
3.
one? Oh.
okay,
the
so it's a
third one.
prequel first and then the third one. So
That's-
Egerton might be in the third one.
Yeah,
He
I
would
would
have
imagine
to be,
so.
You would
based
assume
on the
so.
script that they.
Yeah, it would bring back Egerton
And
and,
are they
Colin
doing the
Firth.
prequel prior because of Egerton's schedule?
No, I don't think so. This is the way he wants to tell the story, and I like
Yeah.
that they're going back to London because it lost me once they got out of London.
Yeah, I know I'm in the minority. I really enjoyed Kingsman 2.
I liked
did.
it
Yeah,
too.
she liked it too.
I
did
did.
too.
There were points of it where I was like, but I really enjoyed that movie. So I don't mind them going to other places, but I would rather they stay in Europe
Yeah,
if I was.
I get it, and look, a lot of people did enjoy it. I loved the first one. It was one of my favorite movies of that year. I mean,
the first one was fantastic.
blew me away. I just thought that they shifted the tone too much from the first to the second, and
It got a little too goofy at points.
It was just it was way more of a satire, and the first one certainly had satirical moments for sure. I mean, the whole movie itself is a satire off of the spy genre.
I'm not a giant Julianne Moore fan in that role.
I hated her in that role.
I love Julianne Moore.
Oh,
I do
really?
too.
I liked her.
I would have rather seen like a Catherine Zeta-Jones in that role.
I thought that Julianne Moore seemed more like an Austin Powers villain
Yes.
than she
Yes.
did a
Thank you.
Kingsman
Yeah,
villain. And
totally.
that was my problem. I'm with you. I love her.
I liked it.
I think she's amazing. Still Alice was great, and
amazing in that.
it's all about the kids. Oh, what's it called?
The kids are all
It's
right.
all right.
Kids are all right.
Kids are all
But
right.
it is
Such a great
all
movie.
about the kids.
It is all about the
Dawn
kids.
John, she's fantastic in Dawn John.
Dawn John. She's
great in
Boogie
everything.
Nights.
Yeah,
she's
Boogie
great.
Nights.
She's great. I love her. She's one of my favorite actresses. I just hated her in that role.
In that movie, though, my favorite plotline is clearly Elton John.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty
He's
good.
amazing.
great.
Do you think Julianne Moore is one of the top 10 living female actresses?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put her in there
Easy.
for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I for me personally, I'd put her in top 5.
Yeah.
of all time.
No,
She's-
living.
Living?
The living.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Living.
The Street Monster's number one.
Street.
Yeah.
Street Monster, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Street.
I don't know. It's Boogie
Overrated.
Nights that does it for me.
Yeah, right.
That movie is incredible.
Yeah.
I love it.
So funny. I love the Street Chants, although it's become like, for those who are in wrestling, I mean, you don't watch this, but Stone Cold Steve Austin brought out this thing back in the day where he would go, "What?" And now the whole crowd still to this day, you'll be in the middle of a promo and you hear, "What? What?" And it gets really annoying. That has become the Streep chant in the Schmodown.
Yeah.
Like Meryl Streep won't even be on the wheel and people are like, "Streep, Streep,
Yeah.
Streep, Meryl Streep." Anyway.
A buddy of mine lost a fantasy league, and it was one of those silly fantasy leagues where you have to get a tattoo if you become in last place. And he got the tattoo that was like chosen out of a thing was "Streep in the sheets, streep in the streets," and he has that tattooed on the back of his leg.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
by the way,
yes.
speaking of wrestling, somebody tweeted yesterday Stone Cold Steve Austin giving the stunner to Santa Claus. And I was like, if Kristian Harloff and Josh can agree on this one, or Josh can agree on this one. Because I don't trust Santa Claus. And him getting the stunner was
You don't
perfect.
trust Santa Claus?
No, I hate him.
You hate him too. He doesn't like Thanksgiving. He doesn't like Santa.
I love Thanksgiving, the holiday. I don't
You
like
just don't
the
like the food.
I love Christmas. I don't like Santa.
You'd rather have a nice lasagna on Thanksgiving?
Oh, a steak, like a great filet mignon or lasagna or pasta carbonara. My
Taco
mom's
Bell.
Yeah, Taco Bell sounds amazing.
I did a
Cody-
Funyun crusted turkey once. Would you
that's-
try that?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
Absolutely.
Funyun crusted?
Funyuns are the
those little
yeah. I
things.
crunched
Oh.
them up and I breaded the chicken with Funyuns.
Wow.
Or the turkey.
God,
Was
that
it
sounds
good?
delicious.
Oh, it's really good.
I'm pretty sure I developed extreme salt sores in my mouth like 5-6 years ago just from Funyuns.
Funyuns.
Oh my
You
god,
love
the
them,
amount
Brad?
of sodium.
Yeah. I can't do it. All right, let's do one more story and then we'll go to break.
Okay, one more story. You know what? Candyman sequel. It's officially happening.
I'm going to let you
And
handle this one.
You don't like that? All right, fine.
What is it? What is it though? Is it just like is it one
What
of those
is it?
retcon things?
Jordan Peele is producing and
Oh,
writing
okay.
it,
Oh, he's good.
and he's bringing on a director, a female director, to do this. Who is, and yeah, it's going to be a sequel, but like kind of rebooting, like your definition
Wait,
of the
Reilly,
book.
he said, I'm bringing on a female, or there is a woman that
Yeah,
he
yeah.
selected?
I need to pull up the article
Yeah.
because I don't
I
remember
think
the
she's an
name.
established woman who already did something to us. I don't
She,
remember
yeah,
the story.
she's apparently very a really great director for a movie. Let me get Nia Da Costa,
Okay.
the feature film debut Little Woods.
Okay.
I don't
I don't know that one either. But this is what I go back to when people ask me, would you want to see this movie? When people ask that question about anything, right? Would you want to see this? And I always say, it depends on who's producing it. It depends on who's directing it. It depends on what the story is. Right away, that was an example of that. You say Candyman 2, and I just think, all right,
Yeah,
Annabelle
I know,
creation.
that's why I was-
And then you say Jordan Peele, and I go, oh, well, wait a minute. What's the idea behind it? And here's this woman he brought in, and he really trusts her. Okay, and now what's the story? So now I say to myself, maybe there's a little bit more interest on my part. You don't hate you. It doesn't matter who for you. You don't want to see this. You. How do you
Okay.
feel? And why did I say it like that? Why did I say you?
Hey, you.
Did I say hey you.
Hey,
What do you
hey,
think?
you.
Hey, you.
What do you think?
I don't care one way or the other. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah.
I love Jordan Peele.
If it looks cool, it looks
So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Is
I mean,
Candyman the one where they say Bloody Mary into the mirror?
Yeah,
Well,
but they say
because
Candyman.
Candyman instead.
Oh, right.
Right. But, I mean, I look at this. He wrote Get Out. He won an Oscar for it. Now he's writing a Candyman movie.
He
Like,
missed you. Yeah, you like that one, Brad?
Is that the one where they say Beetlejuice?
Perfect.
Yep,
All right. Well, I'm
yep,
glad to see
yep,
you two
yep.
idiots getting along. All right.
Three times.
Let's get to one more story, and then we can go to break.
There's no place like home.
there's a little bit of controversy happening around the National Border Review Awards,
What'd you
the
do?
winners. What I do, the winners, they gave Green Book the
Yeah.
best picture of the year.
Okay. So what's the controversy?
A lot of people are saying there are other movies out there.
Oh, that people haven't seen yet.
Maybe. I mean, I think I saw a lot of people just kind of going, "Hey, you know, I'm
right.
seeing the start of the backlash on this movie."
Yeah, and I said it in a review yesterday. I think people are just. I'm going to start with top films that these people are right now. The movies that are
Is
getting
there a screening
noticed.
for Green Book that you got
It's a
invited
national
to
border-
that you could take?
Maybe, yeah. So look, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I started watching on Netflix. I watched it's like little mini stories by the Coen brothers,
I hadn't
right?
heard about this till yesterday.
Okay,
Literally.
so
it's
I've
six
watched
mini stories.
Yeah, 6 mini stories. I've watched the first 2.
That's next on the list.
Yeah, and I like what I've seen so far. Black Panther, obviously, we've all seen. Can You Ever Forgive Me? I got a chance to see. You liked 8th Grade, Macuga.
Yeah, it's good.
So did you. I need to see that one.
First
grade
Reformed's
was
the
it?
one I was just talking to you about.
Yes, First Reformed. Roxy
What-
didn't
what-
like it.
what
I don't
grade
know
was
No,
what
I
it is.
did not.
Oh.
I did not like it. I
This
just
is
thought
kind
it
of
was
dull.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what grade was it?
Eighth.
It was
Yeah.
which grade?
Eighth.
But it wasn't the
They might have been a little
Okay.
older, yeah.
Ninth.
9th. Okay. So if Beale Street
Nine.
could talk, is that the one you were talking about, Roxy?
No.
No.
I've
Mary
heard
Poppins
great things.
Returns. That's wow. Look at that. That's good.
9.
Stop it. A Quiet Place. I've seen Roma and A Star Is Born. So
I haven't seen Roma. How was it?
I have it queued up at home. I'm
You
gonna
just said
watch
I've seen it.
I have not seen that one. I saw Quiet Place.
The other winners, Bradley Cooper won Best Director for Stars Born, Viggo Mortensen for Best Actor, Lady Gaga for Best Actress.
Oh, let me see. Here we go. So, but yeah, like you said, Green Book. Well, okay. Best. I thought Bradley Cooper did a really good job in that one.
Is Beale Street about jazz music, or is it just about Memphis?
Don't know. I need to see it though. Viggo Mortensen, Lady Gaga. Best actress for Lady Gaga. I don't know, man.
I don't think so.
She was good.
He was good.
She was good.
But
enough.
he was amazing.
He was great.
Yeah.
I
he was
loved
great.
him as
You know who
the
else
actor.
was amazing? Was Jeff
Sam
Bridges in Crazy Heart as Brad Cooper imitating
I
him.
know.
Yeah. Well, did
Won the
I
Oscar
tell
for
you
that.
that I saw Star is Born?
Yeah. Oh, you did?
I did. I saw it finally.
And?
I liked it.
Yes, that's me too. I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
No.
I liked it.
I walked out. I was like, I've seen it.
That one that didn't bother me as much too, as much as the beginning to me delivered strong.
Awesome.
Then it just started to go for a little bit, but the ending was strong.
Sure.
Beginning and ending was strong, and the middle just kind of wee like a bird in the wind.
100%.
All right, I think we're going to go to a break.
A turd in the wind.
When we get back, we are going to be in studio, myself and Roxy, with Lillo Brancato Jr.
Oh boy, is he here yet?
I don't know. We're going to find out in a little bit. So when we get back, we will have the full interview with Lillo Brancato Jr. Stick around.
SpongeBob turned into a clown, and no girl ever wants to dance with a fool who went and ripped his pants. I know I shouldn't.
Hello there. No, it's not late to the party. That's actually from Obi-Wan Kenobi. You didn't know that? Well, you should, and now you do. Jedi Council. What is it? It's about Star Wars, obviously. It's Jedi Council. Every week, the latest and greatest in Star Wars movie news. Myself and Ken Knapsack, that's right, the pit boss himself. We have a guest on, and we talk about everything happening in the world of Star Wars. If it's the movie news, the TV news, canon news, comic books, games, and then we take questions from you guys on Facebook and Twitter. It's a lot of fun. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. I'm still excited talking about it. The fan base is coming together again. I believe it is. I think it is. I hope it is. And we're talking Star Wars, so we'd like you. That's right. All of you. If you're not a fan of Star Wars, come on over and join us every Thursday for Collider Jedi Council here on Collider Video. And we have an Apple Podcast feed or Podcast One, wherever you want to go if you listen to podcasts. And not only do you get Collider Jedi Council every week on Thursday, The Rule of Two with Mark Fernandez and Mark Reilly, that's on every week. I believe it drops on Wednesday. It's on one of these days. It's a good show. You should listen to it. I like it. I listen to it. I haven't listened to it once.
Hey guys, Ryan Satin here from ProWrestlingSheet.com. And if you're a pro wrestling fan, which I hope you are, even if it's in secret, then you should be checking out Wrestling Sheet Radio Weekly. We've got a bunch of shows in the podcast feed. We've got weekly recaps from myself and John Roca, which you guys will probably know from the Collider family. That's for Raw, that's for SmackDown. We've also got the weekly roundup of wrestling news. It's a show I host called Wrestling Sheet Radio with Jamie Iovine and Elijah Bates. And we've also got a bunch of other stuff in our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/wrestling sheet. So check it out, subscribe, and I hope you guys dig it.
Hey everyone, Mark Ellis here. You know, when I'm not trying to clone dinosaurs or drinking at my neighborhood watering hole, I am probably hosting Collider Movie Talk. It's a flagship show here at Collider. I like to say that because I'm the host of it. It's every day, almost. It's 4 days a week, which is still pretty good, above 50%. You can watch it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 4 p.m. Los Angeles time is when we do it. It's live, so you can participate in the live chat room. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on every story we have coming because it's all the latest movie news of the day. Who did what at the box office? What horrible Redbox movies Bruce Willis signed on to? The DC, the Marvel, the Star Warses, the Lord of the Rings. Are they making new? I think it's a TV show, and we still might talk about it anyway because we love movies around here. It's myself and an expert panel of guests, including John Roca, Perry Nemiroff, Jeff Snyder, and other noted noters of note. You guys are going to love this show, and then we take your live Twitter questions at the end of the show at Collider Video. You can always use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk to get in touch with us, so subscribe right here to Collider Video. Check out Movie Talk, and check out the Collider Movie Talk podcast feed. We have a podcast feed now. You don't have to look at this handsomeness. You can just listen to it, whether you're driving to work, whether you're driving from work, or you don't have a job, but you have a basement and ears. listeners, you can listen to Collider Movie Talks feed. You can get it at Apple Podcasts or on iTunes. You also get Mailbag. That's the show that's hosted by Perry Nemiroff a lot more professionally than I run this pirate ship. That's our weekend show where she takes your letters. I don't know if you write them or you email them. You have to ask her. And Afterthoughts, hosted by Ryan Snelling and Jay Williams. I almost said Ryan Williams and Jay Snelling. Would anybody have known the difference? I certainly would. I would have felt bad about it because I'm a nice person, and that's why I host Collider Movie Talk. Check it out in video form or on our podcast feed.
What's up, Collider fans? If you are a fan of television and you want to watch a guy that looks like me and a guy named Thad Williams talk about TV every single Friday, subscribe to the Collider channel. Collider Podcast is where you can find the video. We have our own iTunes feed, hashtag Collider TV Talk. You can find on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts and you listen to them in your ear holes. That's where Collider TV Talk comes at you. We talk about TV news. We talk about shows we love, shows that we don't love, and most importantly, we don't read any books because TV has nothing to do with reading. We also have a show called Hypothetical Questions with myself and Roxy Striar and all kinds of reviews right here at the Collider Podcast channel and the Collider TV Talk feed. Subscribe, rate, like, tell your friends, tell all your friends to tell their friends, and before you know it, it's a pyramid scheme of television. I'm Josh Macuga. You can see Thad Williams and myself along with Roxy Striar and all the Collider personalities all the time right here on Collider TV Talk. As always, put down the book, pick up the remote.
Hey everyone, I'm Scott Movie Mance, and just to let you know, if you already don't, every Friday here on Collider Video, I host a weekly film review series called Movie Review Talk. The title says it all. Every week I'm joined by two guest critics of my choice, and they're never the same. We review the new films. We pick something that's streaming that you might not know about, but is really great. And we pick a Blu-ray for something that you might have missed in theaters. It is fun. It is infectious. It is the Citizen Kane of movie review shows, and it's only right here on Collider with this guy, Scott Movie Mance, Mr. Movie Release Dates himself. Check it out every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, only on Collider Video.
Welcome back to Collider Live, everybody. Kristian Harloff here, Roxy Striar, and like we said at the top of the hour, we are joined. There's a documentary coming out, Wasted Talent, the story behind the story. Steve Stanulis, the director, is here. The focus of that as well. Lillo Brancato Jr. is also joining us in studio. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say, Lillo, to you is that it's funny because I'm from Queens. I was in Holy Cross High School in 1992, and there was this whole thing about the casting of Bronx Tale. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. And I joked about it today. I said, because I wanted to be an actor when I was younger, and I said, I'm too German. I'm half German, half Italian. I'm not going in. Never went in. Heard your story. Jones Beach, Field 4. I used to go to 6, but Field 4, and you're out there. And I know that you've talked about this in the doc, but for those people who haven't seen it yet and don't know the story, can you tell us a little bit about that day at the beach, Jones Beach, and how that all went down?
Okay. It was July 5th, 1992. The night before, we just decided, let's go to the beach tomorrow. Just started summer vacation. Now, I had heard about the film, like you did. It was probably, they had flyers in schools.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And, people had told me, when I was younger that I bore a resemblance to Robert De Niro. And, I thought about it. I said, maybe I should read for this film. But I thought, what a long shot me, in a film of this, caliber.
Right.
And we were just there that day. And there was a scout handing out flyers. I was in the water. And my brother met the guy, came and got me. And once he saw me, he's like, wow, you do look like De Niro's son. You could really pass for a son. So he asked me if I had any acting experience, which I did not. But I started doing some impersonations of De Niro because I was a huge fan. We watched all his movies and stuff. And he was blown away. He was like, wow, that's great. And it was a Sunday. He said, usually we're not open. He was at the Belmont Playhouse in the Bronx, in the actual neighborhood where the film, in Fordham, where the film took place.
Right.
And he said, usually we're not open tonight. He said, but I would love for you to come in. He goes, I'll open it just for you. And I went there that night, not really expecting anything, or I just thought, what do I have to lose? And I went there, and at this point in time, I had never acted before. I had never even seen anything in like a screenplay.
Yeah.
So I went in. My two friends took me down there, and he gave me the scene in the film when I'm shaving, but in the original script,
Right.
it was Robert De Niro was shaving, and that whole "What do you think about me going out with a colored girl?" That was the audition scene, and I read it, and I don't know, it just seemed really familiar.
Well,
to
you,
me.
yeah, it was like and you guys covered this in the doc too. It seems like it was just meant for you. Like this was supposed to happen. The scenario from the whole thing and you talk about it in the doc and how like you're sitting outside, the other kid goes in. It's that scene where they're smacking him around. They're going to smack me around. They don't.
Right.
You go and you get the role. It changes your life. And I'm fast forwarding through a lot of this too because of ultimately I really want to get down to how you guys got involved with each other, and we'll go back to you as well too.
Sure.
But the thing is, and you talked about this, but you have what a lot of people dream about, and it's just this natural ability. Like you said, you never acted before, you didn't know what a screenplay is, and you just knew it. It's like an athlete who gets up there, is able to hit a home run because they got it in them. They know how to swing a bat. You had that, and you say it, and you've admitted this too. Up until this point, you would say you maybe wasted a lot of that.
Absolutely, I did.
I painted this picture, and I told it again to 2005. You were a drug addict, had gotten into a lot of bad situations. The morning, I believe early morning of 2005, a friend of yours wanted to try to score drugs.
Well, he wasn't really a friend.
Okay.
He was my ex-girlfriend's father.
Okay.
And, my drug addiction had spiraled really downward, and I was like, in the depths of hell. And she was like going to college, and she was going to take the MCATs, the medical college acceptance tests. And she was really doing things with her life, and she just didn't have any more room in her life for me. She was really focused. And so she broke up with me. I was heartbroken over it, to the point, when I would go by her house, she would, call the cops. So I figured I'd find a loophole, and that was her father. I figured maybe if I become friends with her father, every time I went there, she'd say, "What are you doing here? I told you not to come here." And I said, "Well, I'm not here to see you. I'm here to see your dad."
Right.
But it was really just to see her. And we started hanging out, and he was a bad guy. He had already been in prison twice. But we never did anything violent, but we did share, in common a drug addiction and alcohol addiction.
Did he went to jail for drugs in the past, or he?
Well,
violence?
he never. He was convicted of an attempted burglary, and he was convicted of criminal possession of stolen property.
Right. But never anything of the nature.
Nothing violent. And at that point, I had no convictions, no felony convictions, a misdemeanor,
Right.
but drug possession.
A couple scraps once in
right,
a while. Yeah.
Right. So, the fateful night of December 10th, 2005, we went out that night. And this is one of the first times we ever went out after hours, not just to score drugs. I met him in the bar and we go get drugs. This is we went out. We actually went to a strip club. And, we were looking for, we were both heroin addicts. And, we started getting dope sick. So we wanted to score more drugs. And the guy that we usually purchased it from, he wasn't around. So I knew a house. A friend of mine from the past he was a Vietnam veteran who had narcotic pain medication stuff in his house. And I wasn't going there to rob the house. We made so much noise. Burglars don't make all that noise when they're. I was desperate. I was a junkie trying to get this guy's attention. So I broke his window and I made all this noise. And that's when the police officer he was off duty, lived next door. And I was calling the guy Kenny in the house. He didn't answer. So eventually I just said, "I'm going to get out of here." I was walking away. As I was walking away, I heard a male voice, an unfamiliar male voice come from my right. And he said, "Don't move." And when I moved, he shot me. He started shooting me. Right. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what happened. I just didn't know what was
Where did he
going
shoot
on.
you?
Shot me here, 1, 2, and then a graze.
Okay.
So I kind of grabbed my stomach, and it was blood squirting through my fingers, and I'm just looking at this guy, almost "What are you doing?"
Right.
And I got out of there. I didn't have a weapon on me. Now, I didn't know that Steven, the guy I was with, was armed.
You did not know he had a
I
gun?
did not know.
Okay.
That was the whole crux in the case.
Yeah.
And when people say, "How did you not know?" We didn't have that kind of friendship. He was my girlfriend's father. He was an older man. He's not going to be the type of guy who's going to "Hey, Lillo, look what I have." Right. He may have had it on nights before that, but never had it, And
But
it
was he the type of guy that would ever like? Because I know he never went to jail for any violent crimes, but he was the type of guy that was he a braggart? Was he a guy that's because we all grew up with types of guys.
No.
Guy comes in and is like, I'll break that guy's face. I'll shoot that guy.
No, not at all. He was the complete opposite of that.
Okay.
He was a very quiet guy, very, very quiet guy. Not a friendly guy. He's not, like, hey, how are you? I'm Steven.
Right.
He wasn't that kind of guy, but he was always respectful, and he was not a braggart at all.
Okay.
At all.
So the cops shoot you. You panic. Obviously, you take off.
Right.
And so the gunfire continues.
Right. I heard the aftermath. I wasn't there because I'd been gone.
And from what you have heard and things now that have been reported in the case, from what we know is that the gunfire continues. The officer gets struck and is killed.
Right.
So, because of who you are and because of everything that happens, it's a very high-profile case, and all of these things are. Your life obviously now it's all the demons come crashing down, and everything happens. The high-profile. Lillo Brancato, here's this kid, he's on the top of the world, and now you're on the bottom. So take me through that, though, because this is not the guy I'm looking at right now. This is the guy who's addicted to drugs, and the guy you're caught up in all this. Right? What's the mindset? Can we? Sorry, hey guys in the booth, if we can shut the mics off back there. Thanks. Sorry.
I mean, when everything came crashing down, initially, I had to get surgery. I lost my spleen, part of my colon. I was on life support. So I wasn't really thinking of anything. But then once I started coming out of it and realized that I didn't know for a couple of days that someone else was killed. And then someone showed me the cover of the newspaper and said, "Are you proud of yourself? You and your friend just killed a cop." And I was like, wow, I was blown away. I mean, cop, it's just another person lost their life behind our addictions. And, I couldn't believe that that's what my addiction led to. And then we were in one hospital, then transferred to another hospital. But then on December 19th, 2005, that's when they brought us to, where Rikers Island is? That's like hell on earth, that place. So they brought us to Rikers Island, and that's kind of all when it hit me.
Right.
After
You think your life's over at that point?
Yeah, just imagine this, first of all, someone just lost their life, okay, and this is something that, wow. It was just such a profound and just sadness that I was feeling of guilt and shame. But now they closed the cell. Right now I'm about 165, 170. Like to think I'm in good shape, but that night I was 132 pounds. Was ripped wide open. I was coming off a 20 bag a day heroin habit, crack cocaine, facing the rest of my life in prison, in pain, all of that, all at once. And they closed the jail cell. And it was like, that was the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
And I just knew what I was feeling that night. And, and there has to be something bigger than us, like God, to have brought me from there to where I am now, And I think, for someone like me, that's what it had to take, an experience like that, that I had to go through to realize what's important in life.
Going back to the actual moment that you were shot, you said that you looked at him and you kind of were like, what are you doing?
Right.
You feel like he should not have shot you in that moment. You were not a danger to anybody, and you weren't running, you weren't fleeing.
No, I was unarmed. I'm not trying to by any means trying to make this police officer, this heroic police officer, look like he was the one at fault and he was the one to blame. I accept full responsibility for how my actions and my drug addiction made a contribution in his death. So, listen, he did what he was supposed to do. He lived next door. He was off duty, but he's still a cop. And, whether he's on duty or off duty, he's a cop always, 24 hours a day. He heard broken glass. He thought someone could have been harmed, and he did what anybody else in his situation would have done. He came out and made sure that everything was okay. And, I don't blame him, at all. This this was my fault. I put myself on private property for the purpose of trying to obtain narcotics.
You were saying it was more of a confusion on your part when you got shot. You weren't
Right.
You
It
didn't know
wasn't
what was
like, what are you doing? Hey,
Right.
it was more like confusion. Like, I didn't do anything, buddy. What did you shoot me for? It was like, that's more. Exactly.
Right.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Absolutely, and so you're one of the most beloved guys from like '93 when the movie hits. You're beloved. You go to on this really great career, and now you're at bottom.
Right.
And you become, like I said, beloved to hate it, because when you look at your documentary alone, the interviews with the cops, and I asked this question before you came in today. You're a New York native. You're a New York boy. It's got to be impossible or so hard for you to walk around the streets of New York without looking over your shoulder. Not even everybody jaywalks in New York. You can't even do that. You can't. It's because it's like it's every cop. From what this guy says, that at the very end of your doc, hates you. They want you to go to jail for the rest of your life. You're an ex-police officer. When he comes to you, or I don't know how this happened, when you hear that he wants to tell his story, and you're a filmmaker, you say it early in the beginning of the doc of why you decide to. If you can elaborate, why you decide to do this, because the cops can start looking at you. Why are you helping this guy?
Right. Well, we had a mutual friend, and he had mentioned Lillo, and we should just catch a meeting. And as soon as I sat down with Lillo, obviously he's charismatic. He's very endearing. And again, I, like everybody else, read the paper. Right. And obviously the paper I was under the impression, because I was already retired, I got injured. I was under the impression that he was actually the one who pulled the trigger, but I said, why would he be out of jail? It didn't make sense. So when I looked through the facts of the case, and I said, listen, I can't do a pro Lillo Brancato film. I'll get killed.
Right.
I said, I'll probably get killed for doing
anything. Right.
Right. Anything.
Right.
I'm going to get killed.
Right.
And I said, as many people are there, they're going to say you deserve a second chance, or as many people are going to call you, derogatory names. But that needs to be. We need it from both ends. And Lillo was okay with that.
You kind of have to be. You kind of have to be at that point, because it's a matter of like you've been through it all at this point. It's like if you want, and I want to get your point on this too. Obviously, you're doing this there's a redemption thing. There's also to tell your story. There's also to show the remorse. But this is a big thing to put your name out there again too, because is it about getting back into getting that second chance? Is it
in the
about
industry? You mean?
Yeah,
Kristian?
in the industry. Is it about again, redemption to show that you've changed, that you've been cleaned? 12 years now?
November 18th.
It'll be 12 years.
No, yeah, just
was.
So 12 years. What is it? Why do you approach Steven? Why do you what is this all about ultimately?
Well, I mean, the whole fact that he mentioned it was not going to be a puff piece, and people were going to say, could I curse?
Yeah.
Of course.
You're a scumbag and you're a piece of shit, just like that cop said. That's what I wanted, because this is not for financial gain, and this is not let's get Lillo back in the movies. This is my obligation to society, because I was the kid in the Bronx Tale, and the saddest thing in life is wasted talent, and kids have to know what's going to happen if they make bad choices, and when they hear another person calling me a scumbag, being from here and then being called a scumbag by a member of law enforcement is a repercussion of my bad choices,
right.
And it's letting them know if you make those bad choices, that's what's going to happen to you. I'm actually one of the lucky ones, because I was able to come out on the other side. A lot of people with, when it comes to drug addiction, that doesn't happen. They're not as lucky. They die. And I really wanted to use this to, prevent that from happening as much as possible, and from preventing kids going down the path that I went down.
Yeah.
It has to be powerful like that.
Steve, when you are approaching the people inside of this doc, especially the police officers, because you asked the question, you're just like, why did you decide to get involved with this documentary? And then some of them were pretty blunt. It's like to let you know that this guy shouldn't be out, that he should have gotten life. And you asked the question, do you think he should have got the death penalty? There's questions of that nature.
Sure.
What did you find when asking everybody involved what their thoughts were? Because and I forget who said it inside of the documentary, forgive me, but there was someone there's two sides to Lillo. There's the side that we're seeing right now, the nice kind of calm, collected, cool dude that we fell in love with.
and then there's that side that I've never seen that honestly I don't want to see, and that you don't want to ever bring back. And it's that it's like Frankenstein's monster or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right.
What were you finding inside of these interviews that you were conducting about the opinion on Lillo?
Again, see, we had a little bit of a situation. I guess when the movie first came out, Page 6 caught wind of it, right? It was a Page 6 with Daily News. One of the two.
Yeah.
And without seeing a trailer or a poster or anything, made it like I did a
puff piece that you're worried about, right?
And I'll tell you what, for about 3 days, I got ripped. Police officers were saying I was a disgrace to the Shield. There was one woman who, she's a little nutty, but she was, I don't even think she was a cop, but she was a cop lover.
Yeah.
She was looking for everybody on my social media who was a cop and was pressuring them to unfriend me. So again, this was out without any, facts, knowing what the film was about, knowing the poster, which is obviously Lillo agreed to, was his mugshot. So again, obviously right off the bat, it's not a puff piece.
Right. It's just maybe them saying, why are you just trying to redeem this guy at all? Why
correct.
Leave him alone.
Correct.
Leave it alone.
And again, when we did, it was important for me to not only get cops, but to get cops that were working at the time of the incident, as well as we even have the police officer who put all the evidence together to help put Lillo behind bars.
Right.
And all of them collectively felt, which was very, very interesting from that perspective, that if he wasn't Lillo, he'd still be in jail.
Right.
Where everybody else was like, he deserved a second chance. He did his time. And it was funny because every time on my social media, people would debate. You'd have my people that I was cops with, and people that I've got to know in the industry, and that would always be the big debate.
Right.
With that. So again, I think it's simmered down a lot now that the doc has came out, because it shows that I didn't make a puff piece on my buddy.
Right.
We truly met on this documentary, and people now see that it comes from both ends.
Well, yeah, it's telling the story, and I think what was fascinating about it is an interview with Dre DiMatteo, who you worked with, and it's funny too, just being naive or whatever. I didn't know that she had a heroin problem as well. Thought she was very brave and honest too, as well as she was sharing that, and then the conversations that she had with you. You're now helping her, and then I guess doing some stuff with her work. Is that correct?
Well,
or you were?
Yeah, she asked me to sit in for her work with the former governor of New Jersey, McGreevey, who does a lot of stuff with reentry. Guys are coming home from prison. And, I saw that firsthand because I went through it and just see the lack of opportunities for people in that situation. So I kind of wanted to step in, and she asked me to do it, and she's been my friend for a long time. So I said, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I thought that those interviews were strong because I think that did exactly what you were talking about. It doesn't shows anything but a puff piece, saying that here you are, you're supposed to be working, you're on the back of a horse carriage, and you're throwing up off the side because you're starting to get yourself addicted to heroin. And you're that was the thing to me, because dude, I love Bronx Tale so much. I still quote it to this day. My daughter's 7 years old. The other day I said to her, I was like, tell Mommy you took a shot. And I all the time, and it broke my heart in 2005 when I read the story. I know exactly where it was. I was working with Joel Silver. I read the story, and I was a big Sopranos fan, Renaissance man. It broke my heart because you came from New York. It was one of those things that you struck that kind of love in people, right? So I know that there's been so much heartbreak in your life and all these things that have happened. Why? I guess is the big question. I mean, I know it's drug addiction. I get it, but because there are people who've gotten addicted to drugs. There are people who have done this and not gone and been able to spin it around, turn it around, not waste it, right? Why did you? Because Robert De Niro gave you advice. Gandolfini gave you advice. Palminteri gave you advice, and you said to your own admission you ignored it. Why?
I just didn't realize. They came to my house and they warned me about how much my life would change overnight when the film was released. And, it's not something that I did intentionally. I did it because I didn't have experience. and I didn't think that it would happen to me. It's like when you watch the news, you see it happening to everyone else, but it's not going to happen to me.
Right.
So I just said, nah, I didn't, so I just didn't think it would happen to me. So I just kind of shrugged it off and didn't realize that I was entering the belly of the beast.
Too much too soon?
Absolutely. I mean, I was 15 when we, turning 16 when the film came out, and then when it came out, I just turned 17, and it was, it was huge.
Yeah.
It was a huge film. It was received really well, and in New York, it was like, it was huge. And I remember, still had the, an answering machine. I would get like 2 messages, and then when the film was released, I'd come home and press the button. You have 72 new messages.
Right.
It's like it changed like within a few days.
Right.
And that's a lot for a 16-year-old kid to digest that fast. It's not like there was even a transitional stage. It just went from that to that. And that's what they were talking about. And as time went on, I realized, oh, wow, this is what these guys were warning me about. And, it's not like you don't just one day start snorting heroin and sniffing and, snorting and smoking crack. It doesn't happen. Yeah. And, you always think that's why it's a disease. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And, it lets you know you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And then you realize, like, holy shit, I'm not okay.
Right.
And then you're, like, powerless.
Had you not been cast in Bronx Tale, had you not worked in the industry, do you feel like in the life that you were living, you would not have become a drug addict?
No, I think eventually it would have happened. I used to see a psychiatrist because I was bad in school. And, I went to a Catholic school in the Bronx, Mount St. Michael, and they wanted to throw me out. And they said, the only way you're going to be able to stay in the school is if you go see a psychiatrist.
What was happening that they wanted to throw you? Fights and stuff?
Fights, was disruptive, like a class clown, always wanted attention. Yeah. And obviously they wanted to figure out as to why this is happening. Maybe, seek some professional help, and maybe you can shed some light as to why this guy's doing this. And there was a doctor right near where I lived. I used to ride my bike there. And, but he did say, he said, you know what? His name was Lupiani. He said, you know what? He said, you would be good in the dramatic arts. And he said this back then. He said this when I was like 7th, 8th grade. And, and then I stopped seeing him. Then I went on to do the movies and stuff like that. And got into drugs. And then my mom suggested that I go see Lupiani again because he knew you then. So why don't you go ask him? Let's figure out why you're using drugs. There's a reason. Everyone uses drugs for a reason. Now, I was adopted when I was 4 months old. Now, my mother, my brother, they attributed my drug use to being adopted, maybe always wondering where I was. That's not what it was, and I knew that. I was adopted by a beautiful family and blessed to have had given the life.
Do you know anything about your real parents?
I knew that my birth mother's name was Patricia. Okay. My last name was Rodriguez, Saul Rodriguez. Okay. I knew that. The father, I didn't know any name or anything like that. But I don't. They were people that gave me birth. My parents are my parents.
Right.
I came when I was 4 months old, and I would have never wanted anything else. And my father just passed away in June.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. He was a great man. My mom.
Well, that's the thing is that and I've seen a bunch of different things, especially in the doc, but you speak very highly of your father. You asked a great question at the very end in regards to is a working man a sucker, and you answered it right away. It was funny though too because the parallel of the movie and then with your your adopted father as well too. He's not a sucker. It taught you. You saw him and what he did and how hard of a worker he was. And your friends that were in the doc also talked very highly of your father. And it's that thing that when you see, this is what I believe that when your father was probably looking down at you now and saying, this is what I was talking about. This is the guy, because it seems that this is the hard worker. It's not that guy from the past.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And and when I went to go see Lupiani again, I said to him, my parents want to know why I'm using drugs, and he said I saw that back then. Had nothing to do with the movies or anything like that. He said that's your personality. You always had a need for speed, and you would always talk about loud music and fast cars, and he said that's your personality. So it would have found me eventually, or I would have found it. I think the fact that I was in movies and television kind of maybe expedited the whole process, but it would have definitely happened.
You just became a movie star, and like you said, 15, 16-year-old, you think that at that time, no matter who you are, 15, 16 years old, you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I got all this attention, there's women coming, there's drugs. How old were you the first time you did drugs? You
16.
were 16.
Smoked pot
Smoked pot.
on the set of A Bronx Tale.
Oh, really?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so then speaking of that too, because I mentioned that the advice that you got from those legendary actors. Now that this has come out, have you reached out to any of those guys? Let them know, or since you've been clean and since you've been trying to do this, have you reached out to any of them and let them know kind of what you're doing?
Or have they reached out to you?
Yeah.
Well, Robert De Niro, I was in a Woody Allen film. And the guy who did I wore a hairpiece in the movie. The guy who did my hairpiece, his name was Jerry Popoulos. He's also does Robert De Niro's hair. He was at my house when I was living with my ex-girlfriend on the water in the Hudson River in Yonkers. They were shooting The Irishman, the movie right near there. So the guy Jerry messaged me on Instagram in the morning while I was on the treadmill. He said, "Hey, Lillo, we're going to be right near where you live. You should come by and say hello. Bob would love to see you." Now, I went there. I don't think Bob knew that I was, but he had a scene where he throws a gun in the river, and they were done. As he was walking back, I'm standing there next to Jerry. And in that film, he plays Frank Sheeran, the Marine, who was doing hits for the mob. And, Sheeran was like 6'4", so De Niro had the platforms on, so he was real tall, and he had the green contact lenses. And, even though I knew him and we got so close during that period of time, it was like meeting him all over again. I had so many years, and I got, nervous.
This is last year?
Yeah, right around a year ago, beginning of December last year.
Okay.
And then he's looking, he's walking, and then he realized, he was like, oh, and then he came over to me. And, he was, he was very genuine and sincere, and he just seemed concerned. He put his hand on my shoulder, and he asked me, he said, "Are you okay? Are you okay now?" And it was really nice to see him, and, expressed how, proud he was that I turned my life around. And it was really nice to see him. I mean, this guy gave me, changed my life.
Yeah.
Opportunity of a lifetime.
Absolutely. Well, and I also think the gentleman sitting over here is working on doing that as well. And I think,
Which I'm very thankful for.
yeah, and because look, this is a risk for you. It's a big risk for you, like you said, when it comes to your peers or former peers, and in New York in general too. Because New York, that's why I brought that up to you. Are you still living in New York?
I do. Yeah.
Are you going to still live there?
Yeah.
You are. Okay. Have you?
I might move out here within a year or so, but I've been on parole for the last 5 years, so I can't.
You have to
I
stay.
have to be there.
That's what we thought. Do you find yourself getting nervous though because you know the way that the cops feel about you in New York?
I mean, not really. I mean, I've had run-ins with members of law enforcement, and I think overall that's the stance that they have to take. But when I've seen some of them on an individual basis, a lot of them are actually really nice because they know what I am doing now, and I know I've turned my life around. I'm actually giving back and helping others. Some of them actually had a lot of respect for that and did express that. I mean, here and there you'll get, and listen, that's my fault. I mean,
You expect it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, so the question I was going to ask you is that now because like you said, before the doc comes out and you're getting Page Six roasting you and you get your former colleagues calling you, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right.
Now that they've seen it, have you seen them reverse an opinion from any of the cops?
Well, sure. I mean, again, like anything else, I mean, some of the cops have seen it. And again, there's cops that refuse to see it, have no idea what it's about, and still, try to go on a Facebook fan page or an Instagram and say, why would you give this guy another shot? Or, again, you're a disgrace to the Shield.
Right.
It's just stupid, but listen, this ain't the first film I made. I've been involved with a lot of other films where you get comments on a film that they haven't even seen.
Right.
So it comes with the territory. If I did a film on Hitler or whatever,
Right,
I'm trying to tell a story as a filmmaker.
Right.
You leave with your own opinion. It doesn't mean I'm pro, Nazi or pro. I'm just telling a story.
Right.
And I just thought the story was interesting. And like myself, I think a lot of people were influenced by the papers and by tabloids.
Right.
And I think once after I did my due diligence and met him, I just thought it was something that it was a great story to tell.
Yeah.
Being a former police officer, did I know that would be something that would get a lot of attention, or help push it. Yeah, but I think the story stands on its own because I think even in the first question I asked, I'm like, do you feel like you got away with murder? And he didn't know I was going to ask him that. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell the producer I was going to say that.
Right.
And I just wanted a genuine answer, and he gave a genuine answer. He didn't know it was coming. And again, I think for what we did and for the amount of budget we had, I think we told a great story, and I think people will leave again with either they'll say, "Wow, he deserves a second chance," or "I don't care."
Right.
He still should have been. But the thing is, I think we got it to the point where we got enough perspective from both sides.
Do you have an opinion on the situation?
Now?
Yeah.
Again, I come from a family of police officers, so I didn't just become the way I fell into being in film is a unique story with its own, but we'll save that for another day. But my dad was a police officer, my brother was a police officer, my uncle was a police officer. So prior to meeting Lillo, I did have some preconceived notions, and I had some opinions. I'm not gonna lie, but after meeting with him, and then obviously not just believing what he said, really doing some investigating online and doing some due diligence on the case, if I did believe anything other than what he told me, I probably would have backed off, or maybe not have done it.
I don't want to finish it, or
right. Or if he was the reason the police officer killed,
Well, here's a question for you. Are you worried about it though? Because the guy is a phenomenal actor. So are you worried at all? And forgive me on this, but like that he could ruse you if he wanted to. Like and the thing is, I happen to believe when I look into his eyes and he's telling me these stories, I happen to believe him. But he's also a fantastic actor. So if there's any,
that was some of the things that was thrown at me too. Yeah. Like how do you know he's not? And people have said that, I think in the video as well. He's an actor. He's a good. I think Pat Lynch said that, right? No, again, if he had anything to do with the policeman being killed, or he was the main reason, he'd still be in jail. First of all, I mean, whether he was Lillo Brancato or Leo DiCaprio,
right?
He would still be there. So the case proved out that obviously he was there.
Right.
I look at it as a series of misfortunate events because they knew the guy's house they were going to, and correct me if I'm wrong in saying anything. That they were breaking in. They weren't breaking in. They went to score drugs from a person's house they knew. It wasn't some random home. It's 4 a.m. They're a little fucked up on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
They're loud. Now I'm still a police. In my mind, if this happened today, I still have my gun and shield.
Right.
He sees 2 guys breaking in 4 a.m. He's coming around. They don't know he's a cop. He's not in uniform. So it was there's a lot of misfortunate events that occurred that night that happened. But after meeting with him and doing everything I was supposed to do, diligent-wise,
You felt comfortable.
I felt comfortable enough to do it.
Lillo, did Steve ever ask you anything that you said no to? Because I know, Steven, you just said that you got his permission to use his headshot, his mugshot.
Right.
Was there anything that was asked of you that you said, no, that's too far?
No. I
You
think
answered every question?
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of have to with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of almost defeats the purpose. If I was going to hold anything back, I wanted to be an open book. I wanted people to hear the story, the good and the bad,
And even the name of the film. I mean, it had to be called. I mean, he could have gone against me on that. It had to be Wasted Talent. I mean, because it's a pun on one of the biggest films that he's synonymous with, and it's apropos for the film. I mean, everybody knows what that term is.
Right.
And now it's his turn to turn that around.
Did you reach out to Chaz Palminteri or to De Niro or anybody to try to get interviews?
Chaz, I know. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, because you would know better than I. I know Chaz and Leo don't have a good relationship, so I kind of knew right off the bat that wasn't going to fly.
Okay. What happened there, Lillo, if I can ask you?
Well, there was nothing that, it was just, he was very disappointed. He was very disappointed in the fact that my life turned out the way it did. And, especially after he warned me time and time again and over to, be careful of these things. And I didn't, and I wasn't.
He was
careful.
fed up with it,
right?
Yeah.
So he expressed that publicly, that he in no way, shape, or form wants people to think that he's working with me or went out of his way to say that. And listen, that's not, listen, am I mad? No, I'm disappointed in myself. And this is something that I have to live with. It's not Chaz's fault. He told me what he needed to tell me. I just didn't do it.
So let's say, like you said, parole will end. You'll come out. You'll try to live out here. So is the grind, because once again, it seems like you're making those steps. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask before I get into this is that, so the officer's family, have you reached out? Have you put out a statement? Has there anything any kind of thing you've done in general for the officer who had passed?
No. Well, it's one of my parole stipulations that I am to have no contact with that family. I remember it was, December 10th, 2015, which marked the 10-year anniversary. And I posted a picture of him on my Instagram, and may he rest in peace and all the things I said about him. And, you had a lot of people saying really nice stuff, that was very courageous. And, of course, you're going to have some of the opposite. And there was one person in particular, she said to me, have you ever reached, she goes, how come you didn't reach out to the family? And then I said to her, well, how do you know I didn't do that? She goes, because I was right there when the cops came and told my mother that her brother was dead. It was the niece.
Yeah.
So then we spoke privately, and, and I said the only reason why I never came and reached out to you guys was because I can't right now. I says, but I do want to do that one day, and I do want to meet your mom in person and for her to get to know me, the person that I really am, and not for what I was misconstrued as being and what they wrote about. It's like horrible person. So yeah, one day I would definitely like to reach out to them.
You just can't right now. I understand.
Yeah.
Do you know what you would say?
First thing I would say is I'm sorry. I would say I'm sorry, and I give her a big hug. And she lost. That was her little brother. And and I would just try to explain to her that I had no intention on hurting anyone that night. I mean, I was on drugs. I mean, I just wanted to get my drugs and go home. Someone who's like jonesing and sick from heroin doesn't want to. All they want to do is get high, so they can have no leg pains and just go to sleep. Right. The last thing I wanted to do was do all of that, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would just try to explain to her what happened that night and look her in her eyes and say, this is what happened. This is the truth, and hopefully she believes me, and hopefully she can forgive me.
So you're going out there, you're getting the message out, you're doing the doc, you're talking to kids as well, and then you're going to you're trying to get back into the game, right? You want to, because it's what you do. It's like I said, a fighter wants to fight, right? And so what you want to do is you're going to go out there, you're going to try, have you had meetings? Have you had conversations with people? Like, have you seen the doors being maybe a little bit open? Are they're definitely shut? More work to do?
There's still more work to do, but I've gotten some opportunities.
Okay.
But I also like to mention that I also work in, I was doing it from the day I came home and had my social media. A lot of people reached out to me. They look at me as inspiration because I'm living proof that recovery does work. And someone took notice of that the amount of people that were reaching out and said, we think you're doing great. Why don't you come and do that for us? I actually work in drug treatment. My title is I'm a national outreach coordinator. I work for a company called Amatus Health.
Amatus Health?
Yeah, and we're a national treatment provider for those struggling with mental health and substance abuse disorders. And through my social media, a lot of people reach out to me. And then, a lot of people, they reach out, but then when it comes time to get help, they get cold feet.
Right.
And then that's part of the disease.
You understand that? I mean,
Of course I do.
Well,
Of course I do.
because it seems like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, your brother, who I saw in a 60 Minutes report, I saw at the end of the doc, was you guys were close, and then, obviously the drug addiction kind of pulled you guys apart a bit. But what's the relationship now with your brother?
Oh yeah, we're fine.
You guys are fine.
Yeah,
So okay,
absolutely.
so he's encouraging you. He's rooting for you, and he's in your corner.
Right.
Okay.
And I just want to just say something else. Maybe it's a shameless plug, it's not. We just finished a film that I directed and I'm in as well, but called The Fifth Borough, which is basically, I created it based on the big heroin epidemic in Staten Island.
Yeah.
The Fifth Borough is reference to Staten Island, which out of all the boroughs, it's for the amount of people that live there, it's minute compared to the Bronx,
Right.
Brooklyn, Manhattan, what have you. And Tara Reid, James Russo, help me out. Sean Young,
Al Sapienza.
Al Sapienza, Federico Castelluccio, Vincent Young. Great cast.
yeah.
And it's a Netflix first look film. But again, Lillo has a great part. I give Lillo a great part in that as well. And I mean, he knocked it out of the park as well. And it's just basically about a guy who's finds out his kid is sick and you don't have the money to provide.
Right.
Oh, scripted, you're saying?
Yeah. It's a scripted film, and scheduled to come out in April. But the reason why I'm saying that is not to plug the film so much, is just to say that Lillo actually had a great role in it.
That's fascinating to me because of this. Because then when I hear you, because there were scenes in The Sopranos that you were high for.
Right.
There was the scene in The Bronx that you talked about that you were stoned during.
That was the first time I was ever high in my life. It was captured on film.
He was only sniffing glue in No.
The craziest shit though, man, because that's a non-actor with De Niro and Chaz to the balls at that age, because this is not Lillo the drug addict at the time. This is a kid just trying to smoke pot for the first time.
Well, I did it once before, but I didn't get high.
And not that way, right? You're stoned out of your face in the middle.
I didn't realize because I thought I was stoned. So when they had it on the set the second time, I said, "Oh, I could handle. I just did it the other day. I'll be fine."
Right.
And I remember I smoked. I remember chewing gum and just got so
And it made the
drunk.
take. Which take is it in The Bronx Tale?
Well, it's the scene where I asked Sonny, "Is it better to be loved or feared?"
Right.
And if you remember that scene, that's my only line. The whole scene was just me when he says, "You see," he goes, "You see, I tell a joke around here." When I say, "Is it better to be," you see, I tell a joke around here. I know I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. All that. The whole scene for me was just listening. All I had to say was that, and I kept screwing up that one line. And, I knew they knew something was off.
Yeah.
Because there was times when I had, like, much bigger scenes, like monologues, and I was, rattling off the lines. And, and that's...
Did you do it again on that set?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Because it was too much to handle, and I do.
Yeah.
And, and at that point in my life, the important thing and the important reason why I didn't do it anymore, because I still had control.
Right, and that's kind of where I was going with this, because here's Lillo who's in control right now and doing that role to see that talent come out again. Because then there's other movies again, like the one where De Matteo's saying that you are just gone and doing these performances. Did you ever feel that? I'm curious. Did you feel that you ever were reliant on it in order to act, or because you knew that you just had the talent, it didn't matter if you were stoned because you got it? Like back in the day when you were acting, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm stoned because it just comes to me so naturally. Or did you need it to act?
No, I didn't need it to act. And nor was I, I'm too good. I'll be fine. I just couldn't control myself anymore. I knew I had to work the next day. So, my mind would convince me that by the time I needed to be okay, I would be.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't, And once again, I was like, empty promises.
But now that you can lock in and you are able to, so how many projects have you done since?
Well, again, just want to mention, it's so funny because now he's so the opposite.
Right.
And now that's like the ongoing joke on when we were shooting. Like he's on like
Prepared
2
for
hours
everything.
early.
Yeah.
He knows every
Only a
line.
half hour, not 2 hours.
He's
Right.
he's the first one on set.
Right.
He's got something to prove.
Right, but I'm just saying he's now that the other way where
Right.
he's so prepared, and the first one on set, and we're doing line readings. The last person I have to worry about knowing his stuff, and I didn't know Lillo prior, but now the ongoing joke is he's always wants to be up early and
Right.
be prepared, and even today, he was up. I think we had an interview at 9 prior to this one. And he was up like 5 in the morning, like get ready, and I'm
Right.
like, dude, it was 4 hours away.
But is that where
So-
so the negatives that go into addiction, right, of that need and putting all that stuff up, if that's what I have to have, can you put that feel into the positive of doing exactly what we're talking
Absolutely.
about? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think when I say it's a disease, I think it is to a certain extent when you're still in the grips of the addiction, but I think it comes down to more personality types. It just so happens that this may be your, when you have an addictive personality, you're going to be addicted to something. And back then, I was addicted to drugs. Now I'm addicted to like working out and being the way he just said. I'm addicted to that. Because like you said, I do have something to prove. I want to show people what I'm made of.
Right.
And, and I just think that I have channeled my addictive nature and personality into more positive things. and I've yielded much better results.
Right. Is that how you stay? That's another reason I asked about New York. Obviously, the parole is the reason for it. But behind, like, is it also very dangerous because if you're walking around in your own neighborhood, I mean, even when you're walking down and you're showing him the first time you ever smoked crack inside of that.
No, that's not the first time.
Oh, it wasn't.
That was
when he knew he was
that
smoking every day.
That was the day I got addicted.
That
And
was
my
the day you
friend
got
Jimmy
addicted.
Aruba, he told me.
Yes.
Because he was, he's dead now.
Right.
But he was older. He was like, because I doing the movies young. I didn't go to school. I was hanging out with all the older guys in the neighborhood. And this guy Aruba, Jimmy, he kind of took me under his wing. He was like a tough guy from the neighborhood, and he would smoke crack. And he told me, he said, "Lee, you keep fucking with that crack pipe, it's gonna get you one day."
Yeah.
He said that, and he always said that it's gonna get you one day.
And
I'm
there's
telling
another
you.
one. You just like, yeah.
And in the documentary, I explain exactly the moment that it got me.
Right.
And I was never able to turn back from there.
And that's what I'm saying. So when you're walking around in that corner, and like, because I've had people in my family who had problems as well too, and it's like, it's clean, and then it's just a struggle to stay clean. You're clean now 12 years, but it's always the struggle. And you're walking around, and the memories come back, and you ask the question inside the doc: are these more good memories or bad memories? And you say more bad memories, which is sad inside of the home neighborhood. But is that another reason why eventually you got to get out?
You mean out of the neighborhood?
Out of the neighborhood.
Well, right now I just wanted to stay back because my mom needs me.
Yeah.
My dad just passed away, but she'll be okay. I just want to, give it a little more time, at least a year, and then I do plan on moving out here.
Right.
There's more opportunity.
But as far as like the walking around the you're not. Is the temptation still there? I guess is the biggest question.
You know what? I'm not trying to sound arrogant by saying this, but I'm not tempted at all. I mean,
great.
if I didn't do anything when my dad died, I'm not going to do it. I just don't want to live my
Yeah.
life like that anymore.
Yeah.
And this is why sometimes I don't think it's really a disease. Like sometimes I'd go to meetings and I hear guys in 20 years sober, I still screw. How do you? I don't. But that's them, and I'm not saying that I'm better than them because of
Right.
that. I'm just so thankful that I don't have those temptations and those urges.
Yeah, because
I
you
have
had 'em.
no desire at all to ever get high again.
Okay, because you had it, and I can't remember your friend's name that's talking. He was a friend that I guess you met, a Renaissance man that I guess he came to visit you for that first year, and you were still in jail and you're in prison. You were just still gone. How long did it take you? I want to know what the life was like for 8 years.
I did 8 years.
So you did 8 years. What's the progression from getting into Lillo that goes in there to the Lillo I'm looking at now? Like, what's the mentality like inside a prison?
The first year I was broken. I was broken physically, mentally. I was broken in everybody. I guess I had a breakdown to build back up. That's the way it happened for me, and I was just broken. I knew that, it was very dark. I didn't think I was ever going to come home again. Thank God I did have a good support system. But when I was in Rikers Island, we used to go to church. We used to go to church every Saturday, and we used to go, I was in NIC, North Infirmary Command.
Yeah.
And we used to go with the medical dorm. So when you're going to church with 50, 60 other guys in this big auditorium, guys in wheelchairs and paralyzed, some really, really bad guys. And, you got guys with drugs hidden in the wheelchairs. And you got, a lot of these guys are getting drugs from the city. They're getting morphine, they're getting OxyContin. So I found a connect at church.
Mm-hmm.
I found a guy in a wheelchair. He used to get the morphine, 30 milligram MS Contin time-release pills. So I used to see him every Saturday, and he used to give me 20 of them. And my mom used to send the money through money orders. Now, my mom didn't know it was for drugs. My mom thought it was because she saw on TV that, because I told her cigarettes cost $5 each year. She was like, that's impossible. She saw it on the news, and she told me on a visit, she goes, oh my God, I saw it on TV, you were right. So now, bing, now I said, now I can fool my mom. Now I can tell her the drugs are cigarettes. Because, 20 pills he used to give me for, $5 each. So my mom used to send money orders all over the place. And I used to, I was so, the things you do, I used to try to scare my mom, say, Mom, you got to pay this guy because he's a really bad guy. He's going to come after me. So you got to pay, all right, where am I sending it? And the things I put my parents through.
Right.
And so for the first year, I had another guy who was giving me heroin.
Inside a prison?
Yeah. He used to put it in the ramen noodles.
Wow.
He used to put 4 bags in the ramen noodles. And the way he used to seal the bag back up, it's like it came right out of the factory. And he used to and my mom used to send his girlfriend in Brooklyn, money, not MoneyGram, Western Union.
Okay.
Send him the money. So it was this one Saturday, November 12th, 2008. I remember I went to church. I got my 20 pills. And then after church, after shift change, the guy with the soup, he was right in the next cell block. He used to call me through the wall. I used to meet him in the front, and he had the 4 bags of heroin. And then I did everything. I was going to wait, but I did 20 pills and 4 bags of heroin. And now I remember feeling funny. I remember I overdosed.
You overdosed in prison?
Yeah, I overdosed.
Oh, wow.
You said that was 2008?
2006.
Oh.
No, November 12th, 2006. November 18th was the day I got sober. And just think, I overdosed on the 12th. I still did it.
Yeah.
I still did it.
Well, so wait a minute. So you then, if you were overdosing in prison, and at that point, because that's the other thing, if the guards or whoever finds you, and then that's the last time though, right? When you overdose, is that when you, or do you go back to it again? Like how do you kick it?
I still did it after that.
You did.
Well, I didn't tell anyone anything of what happened. It was a big investigation. I'm a high-profile case.
Right.
So they came down hard on me. They wanted to know. They'd come to my cell at 2, 3 in the morning, rip everything apart, put a lot of pressure on me. And I never told who and what it was. I just told them I just wasn't feeling good. But then they had they gave me a urinalysis, found dirty. Said, if you don't tell, so I went and spent like 90 days in the hole in punitive segregation. While I was there, while I first got there, my friend Corey and my cousin Pat, they're both attorneys. And they were able to come see me on an attorney visit, which meant whatever day of the week, and it didn't have to be the designated visit days. So they came and saw me, and they expressed how disappointed they were. And they said, like, what the fuck, man? You got all these people want to see you, get through this. We love you. We're supporting you.
Right.
Guy's dead, and you're still doing this shit while you're in here. Like, you know what, man? You're going to make it really hard for us to stand by you. And, they're really mad. You better fucking think about what you're doing. And just turned around and left. And I'm just sitting there, like, I thought they were coming to, like, cheer me up while I was in the box.
Your support system's gone.
Yeah. So I was like, what? And
Right.
they left, and I just said, when they left, something just clicked.
That was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? I don't want to live like this anymore.
It was that conversation that turned it
Yeah.
all around. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Boom, it just clicked, and that was it. I never turned back.
I grew up around a ton of drugs too, and have had my own struggles myself. And I remember my dad used to always say to me, you either end up in jail or dead. Do you feel like if you didn't end up in jail after that time, where do you feel like you would have been?
I don't think I'd be here right now. I mean, I was literally a week away from putting a needle in my arm. Thank God I had some money, so I was able to snort it. It was 20, 30 bags. It's $200-$300 a day habit.
Yeah.
When you stick a needle in your arm, it's much cheaper. It's much more potent when you put it right in your bloodstream.
Right.
I don't think I'd be here right now. I think I'd be dead.
You brought up the fact that you're dealing also with people with mental health. Was there ever a time inside of the drug addiction where you thought, I don't want to be here anymore? As far as suicide, as far as it's just not doing
No.
it. Never came across.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, again, from what Roxy's talking, I've dealt with it, and it's a struggle because you want to be able to be there for people to have that conversation, like you said, with your two
Cousin and
two
my
cousin
friend,
and your
yeah.
cousin and your friend, and we'll turn around because there are people out there who do get into the problems that you had, and do take what maybe they think is the easy way out, or maybe they don't think they can do ultimately what you did. What would be the message to those people right now who are struggling with either addiction, mental health? How can they turn it all around?
Well, the thing that I always say is no matter how bad things get, they always get better, or your ability to deal with them will get better. So don't be impulsive. Just give things time, and eventually it'll play out in a way that you'll be able to handle it. Because a lot of people are impulsive. They just want instant gratification, and that's the way I was. And, when I was behind bars for all those years, you can't get instant gratification. It doesn't exist there. You're just sitting there watching the TV all day. There's nothing you can do, so you have to kind of wait for things to play out. And that's what taught me to control my emotions.
Right.
And when you can control your emotions, you don't have to get high. Because getting high, you have control of your emotions. You're here, and now you're going to get here instantly. And that's why you get high, because you don't want to be here. You want to be here. You want to get out of here. And I think once you can control that, you don't have to, you can just, what it's going to take to get to a place where you're not going to be down anymore. And that's the most valuable thing I have ever learned. I'm very good at controlling my emotions. No matter how, my father just passed away.
Right.
I seen him. I saw my father take his last breaths. I saw it. And he was only 70 years old. And,
Right.
I loved my father. I looked up to him very much. He was my hero, and still is. And, even then, I was sad, but I knew that I had to be strong, of course, for my mom, but even for my dad, because that's what he would want. And, it was just once again, I was able to see inside me that I have that ability, and it just made me even stronger for the next time, and stronger also for those out there, you know, that do reach out to me for help, because it's like every new person that reaches out to me, it like provides me with that extra layer of strength. Because you got people that message me, he'll tell you, I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? It's like all day long.
Yeah.
You know, like I call people 2 or 3, Lillo, can you please call me? You know, like I talk them out of getting high. And I don't care. You know, this is my purpose. This is not to make movies.
And you've accepted that now.
Right. That
Right.
all that movie stuff, that happened to put me here.
Well, there's an air of positivity that has to come with it, because you've got to be able to spin it on the positive. Because, like you said, even when from the documentary alone, to where you know that this negativity is going to come on one side that you deserve. But is there that thing though, to where, like you said, you've got to be able to take that strength, because there are people that are going to look at you and say, even if like you, before you knew the story, you're a killer.
Right.
And that's going to, people are going to, because I even said, Lillo Brancato Jr.'s coming, isn't the guy that killed the cop? It's like, he didn't kill the cop. I say, but the people don't know the story right away. So you got to carry that around as well too.
Right.
How do you deal with that? Where does the strength come from? How do you make that work?
You know, we spoke about this a little while ago. You shouldn't let the things that you can't control drive you crazy, because you can't control them. You know, but what I can control is my own actions, and to keep moving in a positive direction. And eventually everything else will fall into place. What, am I going to argue with every single guy that says you're a piece of shit and a cop? No, I can't do that. I don't have time for that. I just want to keep moving forward and making my dad proud. And that's not what he would want. He wouldn't want me to, you know, argue. And that's what gives me the strength.
Well, Lillo, Steven, first of all, thank you very much for coming in today. Thank you for sharing the story. And I, again, applaud you for being able to get your life back on track. And for having the courage to do exactly what you did with this doc here, and going off of being an ex-cop, taking a risk to do this too. It's the story, once again, it is wasted talent, the story behind the story. Yes, sir.
Yeah, before I go, can I just give a phone number?
Of course.
I
Absolutely.
mentioned
Please
that
do.
I work for Amatus Health.
Yeah.
We're a dual diagnosis, mental health and drug treatment disorders.
Yes.
And I have a number you can call 24 hours a day. If you or someone you know is struggling with either one of those things, please call us at 866-214-9189. It's very serious, and don't even waste a second. Call us.
And where can the people find the doc itself right now?
Sure. I'll say one or two.
You want me to just do it?
You just do
Yeah.
one.
It's on DirecTV, Verizon, FiOS, Vubiquity Frontier, Google Play, iTunes, Vudu, Fandango, YouTube Movies, Amazon Instant Video.
Everywhere you can stream, pretty much
Pretty
for the
much.
most part. Well, great.
Pretty much everywhere you can stream.
All right. And as far as social media, just Lillo Brancato. Jr.?
Lillo_Brancato.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks again for coming in, telling the story. Good luck to you, sir. And thanks again for coming in.
Thanks
and
for
guys, this is the show, Collider Live. Thank you to Roxy Striar, to the whole damn crew. We'll see you on Monday. We'll be back talking some shit. See you later.